Call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. On approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Raleigh's injury lawyers.
Bounces his way into the end zone. Touchdown!
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com.
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
Like, just some thoughts about this 3-on-3 basketball that's on my television. There's a referee.
Right.
What?
There's never a ref outside.
You call your own fouls. I've stolen the ball from you.
Yeah.
And you go, when I cleanly steal it from you, and you go, ball. I'm like,
no.
What?
No.
Because I saw foul shots.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
No.
When it's a foul, you just take the ball.
Yes.
That's it. You just take the ball. It is the Adam Gold Show. How you doing, everybody? I am Adam Gold. That was a conversation I had with Victoria sometime last week. I don't even remember. This is my Monday.
Oh, good for you.
Dennis Cox is here.
Who?
So, wait, but what is Tim doing this afternoon?
It's going to be Graham and Tim.
Did you and Graham, did you get, fight? Did somebody leave shoes in the middle of the studio when it was over?
Maybe they did.
So, Dennis Cox is here today.
I'm actually going to be going out to Winston-Salem, out to the Joel. All Elite Wrestling is having a show there tonight, and I'm going to be there.
Are you going out with Chris Lee?
No, Chris can't make it, actually.
What? We got wrestling? First of all, I saw so many random things here. It's the Adam Gold Show. That's Dennis Cox.
Yep.
Normally hangs out with Tim Donnelly in the afternoon here locally in Raleigh. If you know Tim, Tim's on this show frequently. Mm-hmm. But you're going wrestling. Chris Lee, of course, WRAL TV5.
Yeah.
We spoke with him last week because his wrestling doc dropped. I guess it aired in a downtown Raleigh big screen.
It aired at the Rialto Theater.
At the Rialto.
Downtown Raleigh.
Run by our guy who used to host here a lot, Hayes Permar.
Yeah, people on these airwaves know who Hayes is.
Friend of the program, very dear friend of the program. Mm-hmm. So I hope that was a huge success.
It was. I was there last night.
I know. I saw you tweeting from it.
Yep.
So it's kind of why I brought it up.
Actually, a couple weeks ago when I filled in for you, I had Cliff Bumgarner, the director and co-producer, along with Chris in studio. We talked about the documentary and everything.
Man, it's a small little circle of people.
Don't worry. We'll dive into that in seventh inning stretch.
We got to do something today about that. Very cool. So you're going to go out to watch. Even I think Chris referred to it as wrestling.
Oh yes, wrestling
on later on today in Winston-Salem. So yes, the whole schedule. That's why we're all flexible here.
Exactly.
Right. So I can play as a left back, or I can play as a wide forward on the right side.
You're like Crystal Dunn over here.
I am very, very versatile in that regard. We will talk a little U.S. women's national team coming up later on. We'll talk a little Olympics before we get into anything today. And this is even before we get started, which will include some Olympic stuff and some NFL stuff. I will just want everybody to be safe. Obviously, Tropical Storm Debbie, which I think now is a tropical depression, or at least when it gets to North Carolina, is going to be more accurately described as a tropical depression, which I think is aptly described now because the amount of rain that we are going to get could be depressing. Certainly, a lot of people are staying home. My son goes to school just north of the Wake County line here in Raleigh, and they've already done early release today. In fact, he should have been just picked up, and they're doing virtual learning tomorrow because we are expecting legitimately that much rain. So I hope everybody is safe. Take care of the people you need to take care of. And if you're in a floodplain type area, take the necessary precautions. And please don't drive on flooded streets. Mm-hmm. Don't be that person, right? Even if you're listening to the radio, Don't be that person. I don't want your car stranded. Right? So,
No motorcycle for me this week.
yes, I'm I'm sure. Did you motorcycle in today?
No.
It wasn't terrible today. It was just kind of spitting rain.
Yeah, but
the rain is supposed to come.
Exactly.
So, all right, I want everybody to be safe. With a few minutes before we really get started, let's get started. All right, first of all, we are talking about a bunch of NFL today, but currently I am digging this USA-Poland men's volleyball semifinal. Yes, the pun was intended.
Mm-hmm.
I am digging this right now. Poland has a point. Well, one set point has been saved by USA. It's 24-23. USA serving fourth set with a 2-1 advantage. So if they come back and win this set, you must win each set by 2. They will advance to the gold medal match against the winner. I think it's Italy-Spain. No, it's Italy-France.
Italy-France, which is at
France.
2 Eastern today.
Is it 2?
Mm-hmm.
So totally into this volleyball.
Yeah.
You can keep beach volleyball. Not interested in it. Look, I'm not saying it's not a viable spectator sport. But the only reason it's in the Olympics is because, look at that. A lot of people like to watch girls in bikinis playing volleyball. That is not a lie. There's nothing untrue about that statement. So, because the Olympics is about making money, first and foremost, stuff that we otherwise never had in the Olympics before are part of the Olympics today. Skateboarding. Hey, man, they sell a lot of Mountain Dew.
A lot of Red Bull.
Yeah, they sell a lot of that stuff. BMX, all that stuff. Like perfectly legitimate activities to watch. Yeah, it's not really Olympics, but it's whatever. That's me being the guy, old man yelling at cloud. Anyway, I watched the end of the swimming, the gymnastics, beginning of track and field, women's soccer. Does the right coach matter?
Apparently not.
No, it does.
No, it does.
Emma Hayes,
I know.
right? So, men, I'm not saying the men are going to compete for a gold medal with the right coach, but maybe you take another step. This is very similar to the team that fizzled out in the World Cup last year. It's not the identical team. There were injuries and poor roster decisions last year, but ultimately they looked anemic offensively. This team looks dangerous offensively at all times. At all times. They will go up against Brazil for the gold medal, I believe, on Saturday. I think it's Saturday.
Yes.
Anyway, more. We'll get into more of that a little bit later on. I watched the pole vault. Did you watch any of the pole vault yesterday?
I did watch a little bit of that.
Or 2 days ago. I think it was yesterday. The guy from Sweden.
Yeah, he's actually from Louisiana, I think.
because his parents met at LSU.
Yeah.
Right. I have zero problem with that. They're obviously they're Swedish, or at least mom is Swedish. So the guy had the gold medal in his back pocket, and he goes for the world record and gets it. And all of his competitors are rooting for him. Right? The event is over. He's already got the gold because nobody cleared the height that he got to. So he sets the world record. It's awesome. Also found out that if you have 2 poles, you get disqualified, apparently.
Yes.
Right?
I did see that.
Yeah. The second pole, you can't. You can't do that, and you get disqualified.
I mean, but hey, props.
How can you be a winner when you're a loser?
That's the case.
Anyway, let me get a couple of quick notes in here before we bring in our first guest. Julian Council, Locked On Panthers podcast, is going to join us. Panthers will play their first preseason game tomorrow. So this is a major story, I guess. Bryce Young, more than likely, won't play tomorrow. And more than likely will not play in the preseason. Grand scheme of things, not that big a deal, to be honest. However, given last year, where it was a disaster, I mean, there's in every possible way, it was a disaster. And you've got a first-time head coach, and you've got a lot of new pieces on offense, even though some of those new pieces are injured. Xavier Liggett, Jonathan Brooks, tight ends. I kind of think that it would be good just to see it, the operation in action for a couple of series, maybe not tomorrow, but next Saturday. I think that would be helpful. So Dave Canales has not said that Bryce Young won't play. It's just that he kind of made it seem like he probably won't. But he hasn't definitively said one way or the other. If they had more than just the Jets joint practice next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, if there was more than just that, then okay. But that's the one shot. Maybe that's enough. I don't know. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Maybe I just think it would be helpful for all parties to see it like live for a couple of series. Anyway, for as we bring in Julian Council, my friend, Locked On Panthers podcast, do you share that sentiment that it would be good to see it at least for a couple of series, not this week, but next week? Does the joint practice with the Jets, is that enough?
It would be nice to see because I don't want to watch a preseason game where the starters don't play at all, Adam. I'm being selfish here. Like, I got to sit here and watch all 30 of these games no matter what. I'm not trying to watch the Jack Plummer show. I don't need to see Jake Luton. Come on, man. I was surprised by this decision. It was not anything I ever considered. I suppose in the back of my mind, maybe I did wonder, would Dave Canales be like these new age coaches like a Sean McVay and say that Bryce Young will never play for me in the preseason, which is what Sean McVay said when Matthew Stafford went out there. And that made sense. Stafford was already a known commodity. We knew that he was going to be good in that offense. We knew what he could do. No reason to put him out there in those games. Same thing with Christian McCaffrey. Even when Matt Rule was head coach here, McCaffrey, with all the injuries he suffered in the regular season, he wasn't playing the preseason. Same case out there in San Francisco. If you were a known commodity like Aaron Rodgers, speaking of the Jets next week, and he's coming off the Achilles, you don't need to play in the preseason. But when you struggled last year, you have a new head coach, a new scheme, a new offensive line, a new center, even though Austin Corbett keeps telling us that we're making too big of a deal about that, you would think that you would like to get meaningful reps in the preseason opposed to waiting until week one. Honestly, I would think that next week with the joint practice, with the Jets, a controlled environment, it would make more sense then to not play him in the preseason opposed to this week where your offensive line's healthy. Why not get everyone out there for a couple of series and see what this thing looks like instead of waiting until possibly week 3 to preseason or week 1 on the road in New Orleans? I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of it from that standpoint. Like if this was C.J. Stroud where he had success in Houston, Bobby Slowick's back as a play caller, totally understand. No reason to put him out there. You know this guy's a known commodity in this offense. That's not the case with Bryce Young in this new offense in Carolina and having struggled last year behind poor offensive line with bad weapons. And there's one, I do understand this one thing, though, the injury aspect.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, the last 2 times the Panthers have played in New England in the preseason, Matt Corral broke his foot, Cam Newton broke his foot. So you got to buck the trend, and the best way to do it is to not play Bryce Young. So I can see it from that standpoint. That turf is cursed, but I would prefer to see him out there selfishly, and I also think it's probably the best thing for this offense moving forward that they actually get meaningful reps in the preseason as well.
I don't remember the Matt Corral injury. I do remember the Cam Newton injury. I guess we can blame it on the turf. I don't really know. But Dave Canales running scared or afraid of the Foxborough curse, the Gillette Stadium curse, is certainly a new one. We have I live and work in an area where we talk about curses and jinx way too often, so I'm not even going to bucket. Julian Council, Locked On Panthers podcast at Julian Council on Twitter. You mentioned all the, historically all the people. By the way, if it was like C.J. Stroud, he'd play because Stroud is going to play in the Steelers game on Friday. They already announced it. Like, what are we – that's fine. I have zero problem if anybody plays because being afraid of injury is kind of silly to me because you can get hurt on any play in any game. Yes, I understand a game that doesn't matter. My guess is that Stroud will play a series and get out, and they will not risk him in any way. I don't think we're going to see any runs for C.J. Stroud. I also don't think we're going to see any deep balls where he's in the pocket very long. It's just, to me, and this is why it's more about just seeing the operation, right? It's not about the plays. It's not about the success. It's not about first downs. It's about simply having Bryce Young, whether it's under center, unlikely, or in a shotgun, obviously likely, just taking a few snaps, running through how the plays come in, and you could do these things in practice, but it's not the same as doing them in games. So I would just like to see the operation. I actually think that next week against the Jets would give you a much better chance of not having to deal with any of the Jets' scary as all get out defensive personnel because they are unlikely to play their best players on the defensive side of the ball in that game after the joint practice. So
yeah, and that's what happened last year where, Quentin Williams wreaked havoc. We saw it on Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
If you were down there in Spartanburg, you would also have seen it as well, where the Jets did not play a lot of those defensive players on that Saturday game, and it still was alarming that first two plays, Bryce Young is getting knocked down. One of them was a sack. The other one was a quarterback hit. And you're sitting here wondering, okay, is this offensive line going to be okay this year after they struggled just against Quentin Williams before that in the joint practice? They were supposed to have two last year. The other one got rained out. The Panthers didn't practice. The Jets continue to practice, though, down there at Wofford. I don't really see the injury point of it. I guess it could happen, but as you mentioned, you get hurt on any play. He got sacked 62 times. If this is still something that we are concerned about, then I don't really know why. Like, yes, it could happen to him, but I don't think it's going to happen because he's small. I think it would happen because it's football. We saw how big Cam Newton was, and how many times did Cam Newton get injured?
Exactly. That was the funny thing leading into draft, whether or not to draft Bryce Young. The interesting thing is that the guy who would be theoretically built for the NFL, Anthony Richardson, got hurt. And missed after what did he get hurt in week 3, week 4, and it was out for the rest of the year. Right. So it's right. Dennis just tells me in my ears he had a concussion in preseason. Then he had the shoulder injury. I am way more concerned about the shoulder injury because we all saw that's what got Cam. Wasn't the foot. Mm-hmm. It was the second time he hurt the shoulder. Julian Council is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Let me dig into a couple of. I was fascinated. You and I talked about it before last season. The skill position players, and they obviously have upgraded tight end, wide receiver, running back. Even though we know Jonathan Brooks is probably a month of the regular season before he's a factor in what they do, and that's fine. But we saw the injury to Leggett. So, how concerned are you about that? And with that aside, how much do you think they have improved the receiving core?
I'm not super concerned about his injury. It's day to day. Like Foots, that has been a problem, as I mentioned, with Corral and Cam Newton in recent years here in Carolina. But because the MRI came back negative, I'm not super concerned about that. Dave Canales didn't seem to be. He said they dodged the bullet there. I'm sure he'll be back at practice next week. And I'm really curious what his role is going to be anyways. Dave said that he has to earn it. Show us was the quote when he was talking to us after practice a couple of weeks ago, early on in training camp. And even Xavier came out and said after day one that he felt like he didn't have his best practice, that he still got a lot of things got to work on. And that has certainly been the case. One of the days I was out there, they made a more concerted effort to give him the ball using jet sweeps. But I thought he was going to be somebody potentially in the kick return, as the new kickoff rules are going to really force teams to return a ball, that he can play a factor there. And if you take too much into take anything out of the depth chart that they put out on Monday, he's not even listed as a returner. And when you watch practice, that's also really been the case. The way they've been doing is they've had someone to return, to have another guy up back there more as the blocker. And anytime I've seen kickoff, it's been Leggett there. So I don't know what his role is even going to be in this offense. Mingo's been the wide receiver 3. He's looked fine. I mean, he's looked really good. Because I've only been out there, unfortunately, just when they have shorts on. I haven't been there for the pad practices. I'd like to see him play on Thursday. But by all accounts, even when I've been out there, he has looked good. And he's certainly seems to have more of a bearing grasp on the NFL and the speed than he had last season where, let's be honest, Thomas Brown, Frank Reich, they threw him out there when he was not even ready.
Right.
Did him a disservice, did the offense a disservice, and he seems to be more prepared this season. But I think Deontay Johnson's going to be a really good player. There's already a connection between him and Bryce. We've continuously seen it. Hoping to see it next week when he's going to go up against Sauce Gardner in that Jets secondary. Adam Thielen, 1 year older, probably going to see him take a step back based off of Johnson coming in being the top guy. But I trust those two. Outside of that, I can't trust Mingo just yet. Need to see it in the preseason, then in the regular season. And then behind him, like Leggett, still don't really know what his role is going to be. Amir Smith-Marsetto would say is probably going to be on the team more as a returner.
Right.
He's been pretty impressive, though, in the offense. I just still don't know if he's going to get enough targets to really be that big of a factor. Like running the ball, like Brooks, I have a hard time thinking he's going to make an impact at all at this point in time. Like they're saying week 3, week 4, is he really going to be ready to go week 3, week 4? And when he comes in, is he going to play over Chuba Hubbard? Probably not.
No.
Is he going to play over Mount Sanders? Like both of those guys aren't going to be here next year. This team knows they can run them into the ground, and then they can have Jonathan Brooks come into next year fresh and in the second year and be their guy for the next 3+ seasons. So I think that they've upgraded at wide receiver by bringing in Deontay Johnson. Tight ends, Tavion Sanders has looked better recently. But Ian Thomas being banged up, Tommy Tremble being banged up, that does not help them. It looks like Jordan Matthews is probably going to make the team. I look at one player that they've upgraded, and that certainly is Deontay Johnson. I think they should have a good running game based off of the offensive line pieces they brought in. I don't know how much they truly have upgraded the skill positions until we really get to see it out there on the field this season.
All right, let's get to defense before we have to say goodbye to Julian Council, and I appreciate his time at Julian Council, Locked On Panthers podcast. Defense is going to take a step back. And honestly, I think the defense was a little bit of a mirage. I know the defense is good. I'm not saying the defense isn't good. I don't think the defense was as good as maybe the numbers said, because I thought you can run on the Panthers. Not, at will is probably not the right word, but when you needed to, I thought you could run on the Panthers. Now in a 3-4, I don't know if you can still do that. We'll see it all play out. No Brian Burns or Davian Clowney is in. But I want to start in the back end because I don't think they can be that good unless J.C. Horn is that guy. So how has he looked? I mean, this is kind of weird. We've only been in training camp for a couple of weeks. What are your thoughts on him and the rest of the secondary, which might make it easier on the front seven?
Yeah, I mean, the defense, if we look at them last year, like top 4 in the NFL in just total defense. But the advanced stats, they were 23rd in defensive EPA. They were 25th in DVOA, and they were 31st against the run. So the other numbers show you that really wasn't that good of a defense. As far as J.C. Horn goes, like you're right. Like if he gets hurt again, the Panthers are going to look silly for exercising that 5th-year option for next year. And I understand why they did that. It's a guy who you know is a good player. You just got to stay on the field. They potentially saved $8 million had they not done it and stayed healthy. Then they had to slap the franchise tag on him or give him an extension. But JC's looked good. You trust him as long as he's out on the field to perform. Dane Jackson, there's been a lot of talk about how he's really more of a number 3 corner. I thought he's looked pretty good when I've seen him out there. And Troy Hill's also played really well in that nickel slot corner spot. Outside of that, there is some real concern. Like DiCaprio Boodle has primarily been the guy filling in whenever JC has kind of gotten the blow as the other corner. So he'd be the 3rd outside corner along with Dane Jackson there whenever he's had to fill in. And he's been fine. And he had to play in a couple games last year. Deshaun Jameson was in the same spot, but he's really not had a good camp so far. Lamar Jackson, not the one in Baltimore where the Panthers have their own.
I know.
Someone that Dave Mouse brought up on Monday as someone who he thinks could help him. He just needs to see it more in the preseason. But like DiCaprio Boodle, Lamar Jackson, like those aren't names of players that you're thinking are going to come in and going to really help you out if there's something happens again to J.C. Horn. I feel like they still need to add another corner, that they need to have some cover there if anything happens to him, because I don't have a ton of confidence there in that cornerback room if something happens to him, which has been the case. As far as safeties go, like they should be fine. Xavier Woods, low-key, was one of their better players last season. I think Jordan Fuller, he fits the scheme more than Von Bell did, even though I think Von Bell's a good player, but Fuller's been in the scheme. Nick Scott, who honestly was terrible last year in Cincinnati, this team really likes him. He's filling in a little bit on special teams with Sam Franklin Jr. with the broken foot right now. I think they're fine at safety. They just got Caden Stearns off the waiver wire. He was in Denver for a season with Ajero Avero. I like the safety group. I do. Corner, though, I like it as long as it can stay healthy. There's just a lot of questions just with the backups and like Cha Smith-Wade, who they drafted in the 5th round of Washington State. He played nickel at the Senior Bowl, was really good at it. But this is the first time he's really been a full-time nickel. You're going to have to give him some time. That seems like more of a pick for next year than for this year. So provided that they're healthy, they should be fine, but they're going to need their friends up front to help them with some pass rush, which I don't think is going to come this season, especially when you look at all the injuries they're having an outside linebacker.
Yeah, no question. And with DJ Wanham still on the PUP list, before I say goodbye to Julian Council, it's going to be a Jack Plummer and somebody, right, as Luton, who, if he doesn't make the team, gets relegated to the championship. Julian and I will understand that was a Premier League joke. I just had to get that in before I said goodbye.
Well, I'm thinking to myself, as a North Carolina fan, get to see Drake May, so there is that.
There is that, although I'm going to talk about this here in a little bit. Drake May is really being set up to have the exact same year that Bryce Young had. The Patriots are a mess. I don't want him to play.
Don't play him. Don't play him. It's fine. If you want to say Drake May's not ready, cool. The team's terrible. Unless they get Ayuk, don't play him.
And they already withdrew from the Brandon Ayuk auction that the 49ers are holding, because Ayuk didn't want to play for the Patriots even for $30 million a year on a new contract. So because he recognizes that team's not good. I don't want to go there if they're not good.
He doesn't seem like he's that interested in actually winning. He just wants the money, which I get. I get it.
He turned down. Well, I guess $30 million is not that much money if you're Justin Jefferson. Julian Council, who would never turn down $30 million, by the way. No. Locked On Panthers podcast at Julian Council. Man, thanks for the time. I'll talk to you soon.
Of course. See you, Adam.
You got it. Julian Council here. All right, quick break. We come back. USA basketball advanced to the semifinals, and they will play Serbia. I think it's tomorrow. They will play Serbia in the semifinals of the men's basketball tournament at the Olympics. We'll talk to our guy, Mr. Basketball, Brian Geisinger, next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The world's best athletes are in Paris going for the gold, and 99.9 The Fan will help you follow them for all 16 days of the Summer Games through August 11th. Listen for all the action from across the Atlantic. Check in often for event reports from Paris and the updated medal count as Team USA takes on the world. Updates from the Summer Games on 99.9 The Fan are presented by North Carolina FC. Get your tickets today at northcarolinafc.com.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and there is no better place to bet the games this summer than FanDuel, because right now new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Who knows? Maybe you had 5 on the American to win the 1,500-meter run, just short of a mile. Unbelievable finish. You can bet on all your favorite international teams and all your favorite sports: basketball, badminton, soccer, swimming. Still soccer to go. FanDuel's got it all. Don't miss your chance to score $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Sign up there. Start betting the games today. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 or over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Nothing makes being outdoors better than having the right gear and the right crew. So here's an idea. Let Mountain Dew supply the gear and you bring the friends. Because when you buy specially marked multi-packs of Mountain Dew, you can collect points and earn epic limited edition outdoor gear. So buy Dew, collect points, get gear, and get outside with Mountain Dew outdoor gear.
Open to legal U.S. residents 18+. Subject to program terms at dewoutdoors.com and 12/31/24. Void or prohibited.
Want a great deal on Mountain Dew? Handy Hugo's offering 2 20-ounce Mountain Dews for just $4. Do the Dew at Handy Hugo's today.
Savings. Now that's speaking the Lowe's language. And when you join My Lowe's Rewards for free, the savings just keep coming. Save money with member-only offers, plus earn points when you shop. More points equal more rewards, just for you. Because Lowe's knows you earned it, literally. Learn more about our loyalty program at lowes.com/MyLowe'sRewards and become a member for free today. Program subject to terms and conditions. Points are awarded on eligible purchases. See Lowe's.com/terms for full details. Subject to change.
You know that feeling? That confident, swaggerific feeling that says, look at me, world, I know stuff. Own that feeling with PlaySmart, a fun new go-to resource from the North Carolina Education Lottery. With PlaySmart, get to know the odds, learn tips, set limits and budgets, and make the most of your play. Awesome feeling, right? Right. Play smart, the way smart players play. Visit ncplaysmart.com. Must be 18 to play. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Bobby Joe absolutely hated her job.
Can't hate that job any more than I do.
So, time for one of those fancy tech schools?
No, I could never afford that. I'm going to Sharky's.
Sharky's?
Yeah, no better place to relax. Great food, cold beer, good whiskey, darts, billiards.
So now you love your job?
No, I still hate my job, but I loves me some Sharky's. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, everybody loves Sharky's. Sharky's Place, one of the best neighborhood bars in the world. 5800 Durley Road by the Shell Station.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. The insurance company wants to pay you the least amount possible. Law Tigers are riders too, so we understand what your bike and gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and we don't get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
This is Adam Gold.
Frankly, I'm not sure that there is a sport that we could theoretically even put in the Olympics that isn't. I said bowling. Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Croquet? Lawn darts?
I'm waiting for cornhole.
Oh, there's somebody that thinks, yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Dennis Cox producing the program today. I don't know if it's an upset or not. Poland beats the United States in men's volleyball, and they are on to the gold medal match. The United States will play for bronze against the loser of Italy v. France coming up at 2 o'clock. I don't know. Is that maybe it still might be good. But, yeah, they couldn't handle Wilfred Leon. Cuban-Polish outside hitter. I have no idea if that's a position or not. Brian Geisinger, our Mr. Basketball, who I discovered his Substack over the weekend, split the action. It's about doggone time. All right, Brian, appreciate your time as always at bgeis_bird. He's also all over the place everywhere else. So if you want to get smarter about the only truly American sport, apparently, let's talk to Brian Geisinger about hoops. USA-Brazil was tight for, what, like 10 minutes?
Yeah, I guess Brazil made that one push when the United States had the second unit in. They got a little loose. Steve Kerr put the starters back in. And they immediately ran away with it again. Not a super competitive game, but not really one you expected.
No, I didn't. I did not. I remember when Brazil was like a national power, international power might be a little bit of a stretch, but when Brazil was always good, when Argentina was always good, it's not the case anymore.
Yeah, and obviously, if you go back even just like a decade ago, you have a pretty strong Brazilian team.
Oscar Schmidt.
Also, you could go back several decades, but I was even thinking to, 12 years ago, you're going to have Nene Hilario from the NBA, Anderson Varejao, Thiago Splitter. They never quite had the guard play to sort of like ignite it, but for whatever it's worth, Brazil's still getting to the quarterfinals of the Olympics in basketball when one of the 8 teams is the United States too is not too shabby.
No. What do you make, Brian Geisinger at bgeis_bird, split the action on Substack? What do you make of Steve Kerr's ever altering starting lineups? I think when you've got I'm not even knocking it, because when you have these 12 players, and we'll just go with the top 10 players, they're all used to starting and playing, 40 out of 48 minutes. And so that's always going to be a challenge anyway. But mixing and matching based on the opponent seems like an okay idea.
Yeah, not a bad idea. And certainly not only do the Americans have so many good players, but the versatility of those guys, right? I mean, you can do everything with LeBron, right? That's sort of why he's been like just the perfect basketball player for a very long time now. But Durant, Tatum, Anthony Edwards, guys that can play different roles, do different things, play different positions, guard different positions. You've seen, especially when they get to the second unit like they did yesterday against Brazil, you've got Kevin Durant, Bam Adebayo, and Anthony Davis as a front line. Not too bad, right? And you see they're able to switch the initial screen, and then they've got Durant behind the play where he'll kick the guard out, and he'll come in, and he'll then take the center in the post and kick the Derek White or whomever else or someone else out to the perimeter. And it is cool to see that. Like, I do think guys have bought in on different roles. We've talked about this a lot, but Devin Booker, being the sort of Klay Thompson, 3-and-D off-ball player on this team, and he's shooting with that short international line shooting, I think above 60% from deep in the Olympics. Same with Anthony Edwards. So those guys have clearly feasted off that a little bit, but they've got the talent and the depth, and I think it can be matchup based, but I think for a guy like Kerr who does coach on vibes a lot too, it is sort of not just riding the hot hand, but like who's playing well together, who's flowing well together. And sometimes that can be, this lineup outscored the opponents by X points per however many minutes they were on the floor, or it could be like more process based, and you sort of liked how things looked defensively or offensively or how they got into transition or whatever. But it's been very fun seeing all that. And I've enjoyed seeing them mix and match, but LeBron is going to continue to start and continue to be the guy.
We've talked about this. It's just it never stops being amazing to me that as great as this roster is, it in many ways is still about LeBron and Kevin Durant, and we're talking about Kevin Durant being by several years LeBron's junior. I mean, in most cases, these guys are playing out the string of their careers, and they are still, when healthy, more so about Kevin than about LeBron, since LeBron's always pretty healthy. They're just maybe the two best players in this tournament, and that is with all due respect to Nikola Jokic. I expect LeBron and KD, who's been that second unit with Anthony Edwards. They have been, for the most part, dynamite. Do we take anything out of the game against Serbia in the group play, which the United States pulled away in that game, but turned it over a bunch and really relied on Durant and Anthony Edwards to kind of create that separation in the second half?
Yeah, that was an incredible game by those two guys and LeBron. I think I mentioned it with you when we spoke last, but Serbia was dead even with Nikola Jokic on the court in that game.
Right.
So I think it's a big deal for the United States to make, which is obviously that's a win for Serbia to an extent, but I think for the United States, it's to make sure those minutes are at best sort of capped at Serbia playing dead even, because I think just under 30 minutes per game in the tournament, Jokic is averaging 19, 12, and 8. Like, he's totally ridiculous.
Right.
So you got to make sure to hammer Serbia in the minutes when he's not on the floor, and then at least try to play them even in those other ones. And they've got other weapons like Vasa Micic, who plays for the Hornets. He had a great game yesterday. Really good pick and roll point guard. You got Bogdan Bogdanovic. Like, you've got multiple guys, like legit NBA rotation guards that can score and shoot and handle. So you got to make sure the pick and roll coverages are tight. If you're in drop coverage, how are you handling Jokic when he pops or he short rolls in the space? That's if you've got Embiid playing center. What does that look like? And if it's Anthony Davis, and I think Davis is going to be really important in this game against Serbia. Are you switching? If you do switch, what's that looking like behind the play? Because you can't just obviously have Jokic go down and maul, Drew Holiday or whatever in the post. So I think it really all starts there. And then I do kind of wonder, and we're sort of running out of games in the tournament, like, I think Steph Curry has played pretty well. Haven't had like a big Steph shooting game.
He hasn't shot it well. That's the amazing thing. He has not shot it well at all.
From 3, I think he's actually shot it pretty well from 2 because he is unbelievable. But I think he's under 30% from deep in the tournament, if I'm not mistaken. And so you do kind of wonder, are we going to get one? Are we going to get one of the Steph games where he just, he hits 7 threes, and you could be playing. It doesn't matter who you're playing,
Right?
You're going to win one of those games.
Well,
so
interestingly enough,
see what the lineups look like and the defensive coverages look like for Jokic
in the last game that the U.S. played Serbia, and this is why I really am fearful of this matchup, is because they needed Kevin Durant to go 8 of 9 from the field, 5 of 5 from 3. LeBron James to have the game that he had. Anthony Edwards to have the game that he had. The U.S. made 18 of 32 3-point shots in the game. If you shoot normally from 3-point range, we are talking about a down-to-the-wire affair. And anything we know about, I don't care how good you are, when the game pressure, when the scoreboard pressure is there, everything is kind of thrown out the window. All of the thoughts about, well, we should win. They'll be a double-digit favorite against Serbia, be a 14-point favorite or so, whatever the number is. I could probably go look that up. That would be a good thing to know. But I don't anticipate this game being easy. I keep hearing people say, well, Germany's going to be the U.S.'s toughest shot for the gold medal. I think this one is incredibly difficult.
Yeah, they got to get through Serbia first. I mean, we just listed off some of the guys they have, but these are not fringe NBA players. I mean, Bogdanovic is one of the best bench scorers in the league. I know people haven't seen Vasa Micic much because he just came to the NBA as a 30-year-old rookie last season and spent half the year in Oklahoma City and then half the year in Charlotte. He was a really nice piece for the Hornets down the stretch after the Gordon Hayward trade. He's a tank. We're talking about a 6'5", 6'6", 200+ pound point guard that's strong and can finish in sort of below the rim but finish in traffic. And then Jokic is he's totally unique in terms of his ability to shoot and score from every level. The passing is obviously otherworldly. The offensive rebounding. And there have been times, maybe not with this current personnel, but going back to the 2019 World Cup, when the United States struggles to either put a team away or to really run away with the game, it's because teams can just take advantage and hit them on the offensive glass. And obviously Jokic is one of the best offensive rebounders in the world, if not the best offensive rebounder in the world. So, they can't. The margin of error shrinks now pretty quickly. And I know that maybe seemed a little ridiculous because they just blew the doors off of Serbia a week or so ago. But as you noted, they shot the hell out of the ball in that game. They're shooting 44% from 3 in the Olympics. So they do have. Once they got Durant back, it really sort of allowed things to fall into place. Spot up shooting wise, and that's 44% without Curry, really teeing off yet either. So Serbia is going to be tough. They've got arguably the best player in the world, if not the best player in the world in the roster, and then several other, really good NBA type rotation players that can score. And they're going to be, this match is to get a medal.
Right.
The stakes are high, and it could get tight. And Serbia is going to be going. They're not going to be intimidated, obviously. So it has the recipe of a tough opponent for the United States, but the chemistry looks really good with them. They're locked in. I think the defense has been awesome so far. And I think really as long as they continue to have good flow offensively, they're set up to continue playing at the level that they have thus far.
At @BGuys_Bird, Brian Geisinger, split the action on Substack. I just looked it up as we say goodbye. USA minus 16 points over Serbia. I know. I know. It seems like they're begging you to take their money, doesn't it? BG, I'm glad the Substack is going. I look forward to tons of stuff, both pro and college. I appreciate your time, my man. We'll talk soon.
As always, you guys have a nice day.
You too. Brian Geisinger, @BGuys_Bird on 16 points.
It's crazy. U.S. women against Nigeria is 27.5.
Yeah. Well, that's not. I'm not that surprised.
That makes sense.
To be perfectly honest, they're Serbia plus 820 on the money line. Tempting. All right, one-timers next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here for my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and they are the best place to bet the games this summer because right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Then you can bet on all your favorite international teams in all your favorite sports, from basketball to badminton and soccer to swimming. FanDuel has it all. Don't miss your chance to score $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS to sign up and start betting the games today. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 or over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Some call it overplanning. At Alternative Power, we call it foresight. Be prepared for the next power outage with a Generac home standby generator. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, whether you're home or away. Generac, it's not just a generator, it's a power move. Act now for a free 10-year warranty on a Generac home standby generator. Terms and conditions apply. See more at alternativepower.com. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts.
The North Carolina News Network and the North Carolina Healthcare Association invite you to listen to our latest podcast. Hospitals play a key role in emergency readiness alongside first responders who protect us from any scenario. During this month's conversation on the state of healthcare, we take an in-depth look at the role that First Health Moore Regional Hospital played at the U.S. Open in Pinehurst. We'll talk with Moore Regional President Jonathan Davis, who says,
"We start our day with an 8:30 safety huddle. We call it looking back, looking forward in our days to kind of highlight and bring forward any concerns or organizational issues, community issues that may occur."
We also speak with Dr. Catherine Newell with First Health EMS. She reiterates,
"We spent about a year beforehand meeting with federal, state, and local representatives to ensure a thorough preparation for the event."
You can listen to our latest conversation wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens. If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Are you struggling with your Medicare drug costs? The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program may be able to help. The Extra Help and Medicare savings programs are available for those who qualify, but you have to apply. Contact SHIP today to see if you qualify. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
This is Adam Gold.
Subway Series, Game 2. Mets, Yankees should be fun. Good luck to the Yankees, not at all. The Mets are underdogs at home, plus 110. No respect at all for the team that is playing the best baseball in the month of June.
How McRude.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Dennis Cox in the other chair. Real quick before we get to one-timers, you may not know this, Dennis. You know this. I am a Mets fan.
I have heard.
Yeah, and
sorry.
No, it's fine. Okay. I got no problem with it.
All right. That's good.
We've had our moments. We're not as good as we should be on a regular basis. I get it, but it's been a fairly good, surprisingly competitive season after a slow start. They were the best team in baseball in June, and they played very well in July for the most part. But as we got to the trade deadline, I had been saying I don't want their plans to change based on, hey, we've been really good the last 6 weeks. Their plans kind of did change because they were going to ship off basically anybody who was attractive on the trade market and stockpile more young players, blah, blah, blah. So they don't do that. And right now, the Mets are not in a playoff position. So it would be very Mets to get nothing out of this season, and then with all of these players who are likely going to leave via free agency, to then have nothing to show for that. Miscalculation, and that is the name of the game for the Mets. Bad decisions.
So, whoops.
Yeah. Anyway, with that, they're a game and a half behind the Braves right now for the third wild card spot. With all of that said, one-timers time. Definitive answers to thought-provoking questions. Made that up. Ooh.
All right, let's dive right into
music,
this.
By the way.
Let's dive right into it. Carolina Panthers preseason game is tomorrow. Bryce Young not playing. Bryce Young, how much should he play in the preseason? Should he play in the final 2 preseason games? Yes or no?
I don't know about the third preseason game. I would lean against no. I think their entire operation from the head coach down needs some sort of live repetitions. 2 series against the Jets. The Jets are not going to start their top players on the defensive side of the ball in that game. So you would get the live practice with the Jets, the controlled scrimmage, and then 2 series. Just getting the plays off with the clock running and the pressure of down and distance. That's what I think they need. I hope we get something like that.
All right, I'm going to switch gears over to hockey a little bit here for you.
Ooh.
We're a month away from preseason games in the NHL, basically. We're about 5 weeks away. When do we get
end of September?
Yeah, it's like mid-end.
Okay.
Yeah, so about 6 weeks away. When do we see a Seth Jarvis deal done?
Well, it doesn't have to get done really until training camp.
Exactly.
So, yeah. We probably have. You said 6 weeks. We got about 6 weeks of wiggle room to play with. At this point, I believe we have 2 sides that feel like they have moved enough, and they're not going to move. But we are not headed for anything other than an 8-year deal. They are just trying to figure out the number. And my understanding right now is that it's somewhere between Andrei Svechnikov and $8 million, which is 7.75 and 8. If I had to wager, I say it comes in 7.95. That's what I'm saying.
7.95.
That's what I'm saying, that it comes
tick
in.
under 8.
Yes. That's what I am saying. That's where I think it ultimately comes in. A tick under 8. But
I was
get done.
I was thinking 8 times 8 would be reasonable.
Well, that's where I think the Jarvis's camp is at.
Sure.
And I think the Hurricanes are just below it. So.
Okay, I know you're all in on this. I know you're going to dive into it more,
yes,
especially on Friday. But U.S. Women's National Team, does it concern you that they're only scoring in extra time and not in regulation?
No, I think they have been the better team in both matches heading in. Look, Japan was playing for penalties from the beginning of the game. They were playing for penalties. Germany, who had just given up 4 to the U.S. in the group, so Germany was going to play a more conservative style. And Germany has big-time quality. So I actually thought the game played out the way I thought. That they didn't score until the second half of extra time? Did that concern me? A little, but I think the U.S. always controlled the game. To me, it's about, can you control the game? And it'll be interesting. Brazil put 4 on Spain. That's just awesome to me. I think the U.S. wins that match. I think they control the game. But I think Brazil will open it up. I think Brazil will try to play and score, which is really not what the last 2 opponents did.
So a little bit more of a wide-open game on Saturday, you think?
And I think that benefits the U.S.
All right, that's all I got.
All right, especially, did you see where Emma Hayes said Naomi Girma, the center back, she says, the best she has ever seen. Emma Hayes is already a legend of English women's football. And she said about Naomi Girma, the best I have ever seen at center back. That is the ultimate eraser for all U.S. defensive mistakes. She is that good. We'll get back into the Panthers and Bryce Young and the preseason next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. And while I was out for a couple of days, guess what happened? The mortgage rates dropped again. Holy cow. Gordon Miller, the Hank, who predicts mortgage rates and where they'll be, how much they'll drop, and he's been doing this for more than 20 years, at least with me, told me a while back that mortgage rates would drop during the election year, and even next year they would be in the 5s. Heck, we might get to the 5s before Election Day. So if your rate starts with a 7, make the call now or go online. MillerLending.com. That's the best way to do it. MillerLending.com. Take advantage of the no closing cost mortgage. Never pay closing cost again. Give yourself the freedom to refinance free of charge when the rates come down. Your best move is saving thousands of dollars on your mortgage and lowering your monthly payment. Miller Lending, an equal housing lender at MLS ID 250-2146.
Make the most out of summer with great deals on a great selection of Ram light-duty and heavy-duty pickup trucks. And right now, during the Ram Make This the Summer event, get an exceptional deal on the 2024 Ram 1500, the most luxurious Ram 1500 ever. Or get a heavy-duty deal on the powerful Ram 2500 and Ram 3500, the most advanced Ram heavy-duty pickups ever. Make this the summer to remember with great deals on award-winning Ram trucks. See your local Ram dealer now during the Ram Make This the Summer event. Based on standard and available features offered, not affiliated with the J.D. Power 2024 U.S. Initial Quality Study.
Are you ready to rule the realm? With a new Game of Thrones scratch-off from the North Carolina Education Lottery, you can. This epic game gives you the chance to win up to $200,000 instantly, or a trip to beautiful Napa Valley to play the Seven Kingdoms experience, where you could take home your share of up to $7 million in cash prizes. So treat yourself like royalty. Play the Game of Thrones scratch-off today, and let your reign begin. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds are 1 in 4.31. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Celebrate the month of August with Zero Res and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $115, and take 25% off your air duct cleaning on top of that. Visit ZeroResRaleigh.com or call 919-995-0000.
The light is fading, your hands are sore, and the last tool's been put away. Now is the time to feel the satisfaction that comes with a job well done. But when you get your tools from Harbor Freight, something about the job feels a little different. Your wallet. Because we believe that everyone deserves hardworking tools at hardworking prices. And that's what we have here. So, whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Hey, contact lens wearers, are you tired of wasting time and money every day putting contacts in, taking them out, cleaning, ordering new ones, glasses, prescription sunglasses? Dr. Lori Travers and Travers LASIK can change your life. About 5 minutes per eye. You could go back to work the very next day. 2 years, 0 interest financing is available, and $1,000 off is available. 919-510-6830. 919-510-6830. Make the call. You can go online, traverslasik.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers.
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
This is the Adam Gold Show.
He was amazing in 06. As Eric Cole told me the other day, everything Stalls he touched turned to gold. 100 points, several hat tricks, led the playoffs in scoring, was a candidate for the Canadian Olympic team, which is incredible when you think about how deep that group is, won the Stanley Cup. And the crazy thing is, you got to the end of the playoffs, he wasn't even, I think he was maybe 4th pick for the Conn Smythe. Eric Stahl was arguably the best player on the ice for 2 months and didn't get a sniff.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Dennis Cox in the other chair today. Because he's going to go see wrestling later.
Yeah, I am.
Who's on the card? Stan the Man Stasiak?
I think Buddy Landell is going to be on there.
Superfly Jimmy Snuka? Didn't he pass
be.
away? He passed away, right?
He may have, actually.
I think Superfly passed. It was my guy growing up.
Either that or he was in jail.
Ooh.
I didn't hear about this?
I'm just trying to think which I'd rather be. I think I would rather have passed away.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a dark subject. All right, so you're going to wrestling tonight at the Joel
in
Winston-Salem.
Winston-Salem.
Shouts to all our friends out there. Yeah, who else is on the card?
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure who all is on the card
really
tonight.
matter.
It doesn't really matter.
Plus,
Live wrestling is just awesome.
A lot of them are wearing masks.
No, they're not really.
No?
No.
They don't wear masks. Wait, what happened to the whole mask thing?
I mean, it's still very big down in Mexico.
Is it?
Oh, yeah, very much.
Never mind.
It's part of Lucha Libre. It's what it is.
I don't even want to get involved in it. All right, let's do a second take of the news of the day. We call this take 2. Right, and I'm glad we didn't have a lot of questions about this in one-timers because I think there's a lot of things here. We want to hear from Dave Canales on this topic about, is it good, is it okay if Bryce Young doesn't play in the preseason? Canales has already ruled the number 1 pick a year ago, who had a dreadful opening season. I don't blame him for that. I blame everything around Bryce Young for that. But Canales has already ruled Bryce Young out for tomorrow's game in New England.
Bryce will not play. Okay, and then we'll take that kind of week to week and get a sense for, do we need to get him out there in this system and kind of get a couple of series, and do that. That's something that, I've done in the past. We've done both. So for this game, he will not play.
All right, I have zero problem with him not playing in week 1. I do think that he probably needs a couple of series, but it's not just Bryce. I think everybody needs a couple of series. I think the offensive line needs a series with their main quarterback, in the shotgun. I think Dave Canales needs a series. I think the whole operation of calling plays in needs just a few reps. By the way, I think it's important to know that Canales has not ruled out Bryce Young from playing in the second game. How necessary is it?
Not the way Jack's been playing. So that's the cool part, is I'm excited about that. And we brought in Jake Luton as well, a guy that's been around a couple of different teams. I was with him in Seattle for a little bit. So a guy that knows how to play football and function, that's what we really needed to feel good about the evaluation and how important that is, So we brought him in. We're working him into some of the wording. Some of it's the same, a little bit different in some, but we got to make sure our cadence is right so we can just get the play started. And he's really sharp. And so I'm glad he's here, and he's going to give us that ability to evaluate our guys.
All right, so that's about the other two quarterbacks because Andy Dalton's hurt. They're not going to use Bryce Young tomorrow against New England. Overall, since this is, look, I would say it's a trend across the NFL, except that I think Jordan Love's going to play today or this in week 1 of the preseason for the Packers.
CJ Stroud's going to play on
Stroud
Friday.
is going to play Friday against the Steelers. Russell Wilson, who's dealing with a calf injury, is not going to play. But a lot of veteran players don't play at all in the preseason, which begs this question, is it really important? And Dave Canales talked about the importance of these games.
This is about forming an identity of what Panthers football is. So wherever you're at on our roster, wherever you're at on our depth chart, what I hope to come out of these games with is an attitude and a style of play. That's what I'm looking for. It's all about the ball, so can we go get it, and can we take care of it? Great effort, great enthusiasm, great toughness, playing smart, and above all, finishing. Can we finish plays, drives, halves? Can we finish the game on our terms with the effort that we're looking for? So this is a great opportunity for us to start to develop the culture of what we want to be. And so for me, whoever plays throughout these games, I'm hoping that we're all clued into those things. Coaches, players, bringing the fan base in, right? All across the Carolinas and across the country, really the Panthers fans, that they can be able to see what football should look like from us.
All right, so it brings me back to this, that if it's about creating an identity, this is who we are, don't you need to see that a little bit from your ones?
Yeah, they should be the tone setters of that identity.
So, guys who are not going to make the roster, all respect to Jack Plummer, all respect to Luton, who I still don't know. Jake Luton.
Yeah.
Jake. All respect to them. Couldn't be Jake Plummer, right? We'd go, hey, wait a second.
Yeah.
Those guys are not tone setters for your team. So that was the first time in however long it's been since Dave Canales has been named the head coach. That was the first time I think we got empty coach speak.
A little bit.
Right? Like, I have really enjoyed listening to Canales. Look, I get that a lot of it is platitudes anyway. But that was the first time I heard word salad. Like, all of that, if it's not guys who are going to play, who are going to be on the, 53-man roster, what does it mean? It doesn't mean anything to me. As for the 53-man roster, obviously for injury reasons, a lot of fluidity there. And on top of that they're not playing a lot of guys. So at this stage of the game, you've got 80 some odd players in camp and available to you. Canales went liquid with the depth chart.
It's fluid. I think probably the first group, is pretty good. And then after that, there's just competitions at every position, and so we want to, the evaluation process continues. Every practice is important, particularly when we get into pads and we have these move the ball periods to evaluate it. The games are going to be huge for that, So there's some stock to put into that for sure. And we want those guys to know, like the guys that we're counting on, these are the ones, and the rest of them, everybody's like, shoot, great opportunities, to show us what they can do.
All right, talk to me about this for a couple of seconds. Dennis Cox, co-host Panthers Playbook with our friend Chris Lee. The preseason games. Julian mentioned this before. Julian Council from Locked On Panthers podcast was like, selfishly, I don't want to see guys who aren't going to make the roster. I don't really care about them in the preseason. Selfishly, where are you with the preseason and these games, knowing how few starters, now forget about starters, how few roster players we're likely to see?
I think we're going to see guys like Mingo, Amir Smith-Marset, Terrace Marshall Jr., like some of those guys that are vying for spots. Like guys that are going to be on the roster are going to play a significant number of snaps, I think. One thing that I think that we all have to keep in mind is that these guys are trying to make a roster for the Panthers. Panthers have number 1 waiver claim across the NFL for the first 3 weeks of the season. So if there are guys that are
because
put on
they
waivers
were the worst team in
because
football.
they're the worst team in football.
I like it.
So if there's a player that they really like, that say the Bears cut, that they're trying to maybe, let's see if we can sneak this guy onto our practice squad, and the Panthers really like him, first claim. They get first dibs. So I think that the roster completion for this team isn't going to come from guys that we currently see right now. Don't be shocked if we see like 3, 4, 5 guys get picked up on waivers to fill roster spots to start the year. Would not be surprised at all by that.
Yeah, also one of those clips, Dave Canales did not seem all that like, I think our ones are pretty good. Like, whoa, wait. This is something we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Personally, the preseason game debate, I will go to other sports, NBA Summer League. The only caveat to that is we see a lot of the top rookies at least play a little bit, and we're obviously looking at Bronny James during NBA Summer League. But Major League Baseball spring training games, your starting pitcher, he'll throw like 2 innings, and then that's it. And then it's a bunch of guys wearing number 86 on your, in your.
A lot of guys will be at Double
Right.
A.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll see him on the Greensboro Grasshoppers or something like that, the Winston-Salem Dash.
I am not put off by this because NFL preseason games long since stopped being about getting your team ready for the season. And whether it's injury or whatever, teams have decided, these guys aren't going to play. But for a new head coach and a team learning a new system and a team that was so bad a year ago that needs to show some continuity, like it would be really, I think, important to see these guys play a little bit. And frankly, I don't care about the competition. I don't care about anything other than, can they get the snap off in time? Like I would work on calling a timeout.
Yeah.
Like all of the things that we take for granted because good teams, for the most part, make them look effortless. I would be doing them, but I don't
work
know
on your process.
To me, that's what it is about the entire offense.
If you do, for example, 2 drives on offense, make the second drive a 2-minute drill. Just treat it like it's a 2-minute drill.
Just do hurry up.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know what, guys? We're going to go out there. There's 2 minutes on the clock. We have 1 timeout. Let's get the touchdown.
I like it.
Just treat it like that.
I like it. Spike the ball on third down.
Go for it on fourth. Seriously, do it. Treat it like that. Why not?
By the way, I'm looking forward to the kickoff.
It's fun.
It's a play.
Oh yeah,
it's a legit play. Special teams coaches are going to earn their money even more this year. When we come back, there has been a decision handed down by the NCAA on the University of Michigan and Jim Harbaugh, who, spoiler alert, is no longer the coach at the University of Michigan. We'll talk about that and ACC win totals with Chip Patterson next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
Noah Lyles is finishing winning gold. Fastest man in the world. Coolest guy ever. Bragging rights against everyone he's ever going to walk into. The guy that finishes 4th is, like, his head is at Noah Lyles' shoulder. No medals. Best deal, fastest man, and not even on the podium. I feel for that guy.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And pardon me while I go, USA, USA, USA. We back, baby. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Did we just score an extra time? We did. Then you can bet on all your favorite international teams as though you have another international team that's a favorite. So don't miss your chance to score $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. FanDuel.com/AdamGold to sign up and start betting the games today. Make every moment more with FanDuel. USA, USA. 21 or over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
To make me feel better. All I wanna know is, can I get up? Juicy double patty, the McNuggets so crisp, and the fries go to yellow. Yeah, McDonald's don't miss. Yeah, order apple, the drive-through quick. Yeah, $5, that's a deal. Yeah, I got McDonald's money. I got McDonald's money.
How was everyone's first day at the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club?
Oh, me? I set the high score in mini golf.
I tried a new food called wasabi.
Oh, I did absolutely nothing. It was amazing.
There's no wrong way to be a winner. New $50,000 payout and $1 million cash word are here. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.54 to 3.58. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Organize easy. Organize tough. Customize your work truck or van with upfit solutions from Van Products. Steel and aluminum shelving, toolboxes, data files, cabinets, drawers, conduit carriers, ladder racks, everything safe and secure. Everything built as unbreakable as you by Adrian Steel. Backed by the best warranty in the business. 3 years, 36,000 miles. Everything custom installed by Van Products so you know it's done right. From a single work rig to a fleet, choose custom installed upfit solutions from Van Products.
Tim Donnelly here to tell you that people are talking about Window Nation. Their customer, Vicky, says we couldn't be happier. This was a great experience. Window Nation is about value, and this August, they're giving you a great value during their anniversary sale. Buy 2 windows and get 2 free. There's no limit to how much you could save. Plus, pay nothing for 24 months. Act now and get an extra $250 credit. Hurry, sale ends August 31st, so schedule a fast in-home estimate right now at 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com.
This is Adam Gold.
I had no idea John is a Cubs fan, too.
Yeah, I think that's a prerequisite to being the head coach at Duke. I made one comment about the Cubs to Mike Krzyzewski. Goes back a while ago. Talked about the pitching staff, and he goes, yeah, but I don't trust Victor Zambrano. Like, what?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Dennis Cox in the other chair. I just watched the U.S. Advance, or a U.S. man, I think Fred Crittenden, advance in the 110-meter high hurdles. He came out of essentially what is the mulligan. Came out of the loser's bracket. So apparently, if you fail to advance out of a preliminary heat, they throw you back into a pool, and you can advance out of the loser's bracket into the semifinals. And he did, and he will advance to the finals whenever the finals are, probably in a couple of days. It seems odd to me that they're giving you another chance. That's very nice. Well done, IOC. The more races we have, the more likely it is for people like me to watch, because I watch everything Olympics. I don't know how much Olympics our friend Chip Patterson from Cover 3 Podcast, CBSSports.com. I don't know how much of the Olympics you've watched, because you are busy cranking out content, not only the written kind at CBSSports.com, but the Cover 3 Podcast, in which I know recently you did ACC win totals. It also involved the sanctions being handed down to Michigan and all the other stuff that we've been talking about. So how are you, sir?
There's another chip in another universe that is going hard on this, that has handicapped almost every single medal race, that it just lays out the calendar and wakes up early and throws everything at it. Because there was a time before I was, covering college football professionally when that's what I did with the Olympics.
Right.
But yeah, I'm too deep.
Nah, that's totally fine.
I can't. You spend so much time talking, or I spend so much time talking at this time of year. I don't get to spend a lot of time consuming, right. And so it's a lot of college football and a lot of me looking with a yearning tone at some of the Olympics, wishing I could get more into it. But as it is right now, I mean, we've got Pitbull buying naming rights to FIU Stadium.
That's amazing.
I mean, we even got a lot, even outside of the depth chart.
FIU also sold, I believe, to a car dealership, field sponsorship. So Pitbull's got the stadium. There's a car dealership that's got the field. Like, at some point before the season starts, I'm going to talk to Jim Phillips. Come on. Let's do this. I think the ACC should sell each week individually to advertisers. They should have an umbrella sponsor for the entire season, sell each week individually. Each school should sell like a 10-yard line sponsorship. Like we'll put your logo between the 10 and the goal line. Like, we should do all of this. Like, sell everything. Another story altogether. Let's start with the NCAA. I'm just going to pretend coming down hard on the University of Michigan. What can you tell us, Chip Patterson, about what the NCAA has done? Apparently a 4-year show cause for Jim Harbaugh.
Nope. Yeah, and this has nothing to do with the sign stealing.
Right. This is all about the hamburger.
This isn't even, this is nothing to do.
It's the COVID stuff.
Yeah, this is nothing to do with the scandal that dominated all of the back half of last season.
Right.
Nothing. This sets up for harsher punishments for Harbaugh, under the repeat violator status.
And Sharon Moore too, right?
Well, Sharon Moore had already reached an agreement with the NCAA for his involvement in the case, and his 1-game suspension was served last year at the beginning of the season. So while Jim Harbaugh missed 3 games, that was self-imposed. Sharon Moore and other members of the staff already had reached an agreement on their punishment, and they served their suspension during the first 3 games. And so, this is about recruiting violations. This is about impermissible practices during the COVID year. Like, recruiting and practicing when everybody was supposed to be shut down is really at the heart of this. A 4-year show cause is the NCAA showing that it's mad. And it's mad at the number one thing that gets the NCAA angry, and that is non-compliance.
Right.
That is not agreeing to just hand everything over.
Right.
And this week, as we're getting more information about the sign-stealing aspect of the NCAA's investigation, Sharon Moore's cooperating.
Sure.
I know that we all wanted to say, but her emails, when it came to Sharon Moore's deleted text messages, but he turned his phone over. They recovered the text messages, and according to ESPN.com, he's only facing a level 2 violation.
Right.
So clearly there's nothing in those text messages that directly implicate Sharon Moore in a way that goes beyond the fact that he deleted text messages.
Then why would he delete the text messages? I mean, the whole thing just kind of strikes me as odd. Like, if it's going to essentially help you avoid the harshest of penalties, maybe you just provide that right away.
Adam, I don't know how many nefarious characters you have in your phones, but sometimes when you see nefarious characters in headlines, you just burn it all.
So maybe you're getting rid of other conversations as well.
I don't.
Looking.
If it happened on the day that you see his name in headlines connected to words like investigation,
Let's see. I have Chip Patterson in my phone.
Yeah, that's a nefarious character.
I have Bud Elliott in my phone.
That is 100% a nefarious
I have
character.
Danny Canales in my phone. That is 3/4 of the Cover 3 podcast quartet. I do not have Tom Fornelli in my phone. So
Tommaso Patricio Finelli. You don't have
I do not have Mr. Fornelli in my phone. But who's
So
going to tell
I-
the NCAA that Jim Harbaugh is not coaching college anymore?
I mean, yeah, this is
funny.
And did you see like his attorney Tom Mars puts out a little like Comic Sans MS statement,
Oh, no.
calling it a kangaroo court.
Well,
and just like, I mean, let's see, I've got it pulled up right here. The way I see it from Coach Harbaugh's perspective, today's Committee on Infractions decision is like being in college and getting a letter from your high school saying you've been suspended because you didn't sign the yearbook. Tom Mars, attorney, goes on. If I were in Coach Harbaugh's shoes and had an $80 million contract as head coach of the Chargers, I wouldn't pay attention to the findings of a kangaroo court which claims to represent the principles of the nation's most flagrant repeat violator and of federal antitrust laws. Signed, Tom Mars, attorney at law, statement on NCAA decision.
That's a great statement. I didn't need the rest of it. I blacked out after the beginning after not signing for not signing the yearbook. You had me right there. Like again, not much is good. What's the worst? Because we have a second set of problems for Michigan, and then we'll move on from this. What's the worst that could happen to the Wolverines in the first year here, or whenever the NCAA gets around to sanctioning them? I can't imagine it's going to be that severe. They already tried to punish Harbaugh twice for the stuff last year. Actually, the first suspension had to do with the COVID stuff. The second suspension was about Connor Stallions.
And the second suspension was the Big Ten, not NCAA.
Right. Correct. So, what's the worst that could happen to Michigan from the NCAA, and won't they just appeal and delay the process until the NCAA is no longer a factor?
Well, I don't know about that second part, but I do think that the worst that could happen, especially in the eyes of Michigan, would be to punish the past. Because I don't think that Sharon Moore or members of the current staff are facing the kinds of punishments that would change the 2024 season, the 2025 season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you are putting in any kind of scouting restrictions, sometimes they try to tie it. You have recruiting violations. They take away the number of days you can be on the road recruiting. Maybe they try to take away some scouting restrictions. I just don't think that we're going to be talking about the kind of significant penalties that are going to change my expectations for what Michigan can do on the field. But if the NCAA decides that it wants to vacate wins, if the NCAA decides that it wants to not acknowledge Michigan's national championship, then I think there are some at Michigan that would be very hurt and would sue and would take legal action against the NCAA. I think that just like with USC, just like with the Fab Five, there are a lot of things that the NCAA says doesn't exist, but clearly do. So I don't think the vacation of wins is going to, impact my view of the Michigan Wolverines. But what is the worst that could happen to Michigan? Something that a lot of Michigan alumni do care about, which is the record books, and the NCAA might come for the record books.
All right, so real quick about that, since the NCAA doesn't really have anything to do with the college football playoff. Now, I realize they are the governing body of college athletics, all of that. Would the college football playoff, would they be obligated to abide by what the NCAA said?
No.
So CFP could still say Michigan won the national championship, and the NCAA could say, no, you didn't, and we can go, we watched it.
Right. Yeah, no, when CFT holds up banners
Yeah.
of all of the past college football playoff invitational champions, that they would have the big block M on there. And when you flip to it in a spiral 568-page notebook to see what the NCAA says, it would have a little asterisk and say vacated, and no one would care.
Exactly.
But I return to my original statement. You know how the Michigan men can be from time to time. They would find great offense to their record book being questioned.
Yeah, and in many ways, there's so many similarities between Michigan and the University of North Carolina, in that there is like an image to uphold. But this is not in any way being said in a negative way. I think it's great that they consider so many other things about their universities that matter to them. Their reputations clearly matter. And so, look, I'm on board with all of it, but I watched it happen. Michigan won the national championship. All right, let me get to some other stuff. I know you talked about ACC win totals, so with Chip Patterson in our remaining moments, however long that is, I know that State fans they cringe when you talk about it in these terms. And I'm not even saying that NC State is a top 4 team in the United States. I'm not. But we all know what the schedule is set up to do. And it's kind of front-loaded. Not that there aren't losable games throughout, and there are. But their 2 biggest, most daunting tasks are in the first 4 of the season. Tennessee and Charlotte, Clemson on the road in week 4. But why shouldn't State fans be thinking, this is a year, not that we can just win 10. I think that's the low way of looking at it. This is a year that we can contend. Like everything is maybe a strong way of looking at it, but this is a year where we can contend. Why shouldn't they be doing
that? They should. It's what happens after week 4. It's the challenge that not just NC State has, but that any team with expectations, any team that looks around and acknowledges what's in the locker room. When Casey Concepcion, the reigning ACC Rookie of the Year, is sitting on the ACC network desks with Eric McLean and EJ Manuel and Taylor Tannenbaum, and he's talking about inside that offensive meeting room, looking around and knowing that Noah Rogers came here from Ohio State. That is a talent level. That Hollywood Smothers came here from Oklahoma. There is a talent level that is there. That Jordan Waters, has been extremely effective at the ACC level. And Grayson McCall set an FBS pass efficiency record back at Coastal Carolina. I think an NC State fan should be thinking, okay, we know that Tony Gibson is one of the best defensive coordinators in the country, period. And that there's been a level that has been established ever since he came in and took control of that defense. But you do have some exits, obviously Peyton Wilson at the very top of it, as being significant. And so as you go into that game against Tennessee, which has a legit Heisman contender in Nico Iamaleava and a wide open offense that's going to score 35 to 40 points a game, is your defense ready for that? When you go up against Clemson, and who has the best defense in the ACC, and they're breaking in a finally healthy group of wide receivers, Cade Klubnik's got a lot more experience with Garrett Riley. What's going to happen there? And maybe when you do start to get a little bit tested, like maybe when Syracuse is a little friskier than you expected, are you going to be able to go get those stops against 1,000-yard rusher LaQuint Allen and a future NFL star in Aronde Gadsden? It is the fact that every other piece of that is part of the bigger picture, but you'll know right away whether they're ready to go in those first 4 weeks.
Yeah, and that's my point. I'm not sitting here predicting they're going to go 11-1 and then beat Florida State in the ACC championship game in Charlotte. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's okay, and I think honestly, I think it's appropriate to think, man, if we win in week 2, it puts us in a different part of the conversation. And I'm not saying you're going to be favored. I don't think they'll be favored. I think they'll be a slight underdog to Tennessee in Charlotte. And by slight underdog, I mean they could be a touchdown underdog to Tennessee. But I think it's a game based on their talent level. I just don't think that we should be looking at it, but it's NC State. Just like I don't think we should be doing that, even though we have more reason to doubt Miami based on coaching decisions in the past. And yes, we have been here before with Miami seemingly on paper being good, but should Miami be in the same position?
Miami has a more talented roster than Ohio State. That's not
Excuse
even
you?
a question.
And people think that Ohio State is
Not Ohio State. Whoa. NC State.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Woo.
Miami's got a much more talented roster than NC State. Miami has maybe the most talented starting 22 in the ACC. Your only reason to doubt Miami are the evidence of every single time that Miami has shown up with a roster that is among the most talented in the ACC and not been able to deliver.
And Mario Cristobal at Oregon when he was there.
I mean,
right.
When did Justin Herbert turn into a star? It wasn't when he was wearing the green and Kelly green and yellow. There have been so many years that Miami has started the year where they are starting now, which is inside the top 25, just inside the top 20. You see the talent, and yet they've only finished in the top 25 6 times in 20 years, and they've never finished in the top 10.
Right.
They've got to go get the job done. They are going to be right now betting favorites in 11 of 12 games.
They're favorite against Florida in the opener.
Yes, they are narrow favorites against Florida in the opener, but this is a tremendous test of the age-old rivalry between Miami football in the ACC era and expectations. So we'll see. I love their roster, and I am terrified because of the scars of history.
Do you love Clemson's roster, or are you not as bullish on the Tigers?
I've got Clemson as my ACC champion.
Really?
Yeah. So there were some players last year that were thrown into the fire. I mean, I'm talking about a freshman defensive lineman named Peter Woods, guy that came out of Alabama. I'm talking about, Khalil Barnes. I'm talking about Avion Terrell. I'm talking about TJ Parker, another defensive end. And these guys were just super talented, and because of injuries, they had to go and contribute. And they were, at the end of the season, much better than they were at the beginning of the season. At the end of the season, Clemson won its final 5 games of the year. At the beginning of its season, I guess they went, 4-4? Yeah, 4-4 followed by 5-0. Yeah. I wonder if there's some carryover when all the true freshmen finish the year strong and now come back set to be stars. I think that Clemson is going to be so good defensively. The offensive line is going to improve with the hire of Matt Luke as their new offensive line coach.
I remember him.
I think that while Dabo Swinney may be stubborn about the transfer portal, he has at least shown his willingness to break up his relationships with some of his assistant coaches. And I think that it is not the offensive coordinator hire of 2 years ago, but the offensive line hire of this past offseason that can be a big difference maker. Throw in a true freshman wide receiver named Bryant Wesco Jr., who I think is going to be a candidate for ACC Rookie of the Year. And I just think that Clemson's going to be sitting right back where Clemson's not going to be at 2016, 2018 Clemson, but Clemson's going to be at like Taj Boyd Clemson, where they were the best team in the ACC and a problem for a lot of ACC teams. Now, when they go and they have to play Georgia in week 1, they will probably be outclassed.
Yeah.
But when they get into the rest of their schedule, I think they're going to win a lot of those games.
That's if Georgia can put a full roster on the field. That's another story altogether. All right, final thing for you, Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast. If the ACC can take 2 of those 3 high-profile games, So let's say this way. Clemson plays Georgia really tight. Right? We don't need to laugh. Clemson plays Georgia tight.
Okay.
Which in the opener, honestly, anything can happen because it's the opener.
Sure.
Miami beats Florida. State beats Tennessee. I know it helps. Does it change the narrative for the rest of the season about ACC football?
State beating Tennessee is the most significant because Tennessee is a team. Tennessee is a really good team with a superstar quarterback that is going to have games against the other best teams in the SEC that are going to be spotlight games. And when Tennessee is playing Oklahoma, when Tennessee is playing Alabama, when Tennessee is playing Georgia, then they flash that schedule on the screen of what's happened so far this year. If that L is to the North Carolina State Wolfpack, then like that will carry more. Because Florida's not going to play in those kinds of games, and it doesn't matter what the final score was. Unless Georgia loses, then you're just going to look at Georgia held serve. I mean, when Georgia beat Clemson in the game that kind of broke DJ Uiagalelei, wasn't the score like 10-7? I mean, it was just a low-scoring.
It was a defensive touchdown too, right, for Georgia? It wasn't even an offensive touchdown. Yeah,
and so it still carried a lot of weight, especially on the Clemson side of things. So to me, if you're talking about conference-wide impact, NC State, Tennessee in week 2 arguably would carry more than Miami, Florida, and Clemson, Georgia.
My only counter to that is that Clemson and Georgia were at two different spots. Clemson was still theoretically up here, and Georgia was more on the rise, so I think it was looked at differently. But your larger point is 100% spot on, as it always is. At Chip_Patterson Cover 3 podcast, not what was the term you used? An undesirable or so in my phone. Chip Patterson, my friend.
Nefarious characters.
Nefarious characters. All right, man. I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.
He is not a nefarious character. He is a superstar. I love talking to him every week because I always feel like I've learned a lot, and it could be because I know so little. I always have to assume that that's part of it. When we come back, we will stretch. We will place bets. I am getting my Olympic card ready. Next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here for my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and they are the best place to bet the games this summer because right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Then you can bet on all your favorite international teams in all your favorite sports, from basketball to badminton and soccer to swimming. FanDuel has it all. Don't miss your chance to score $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS to sign up and start betting the games today. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 or over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The North Carolina News Network and the North Carolina Healthcare Association invite you to listen to our latest podcast. Hospitals play a key role in emergency readiness alongside first responders who protect us from any scenario. During this month's conversation on the state of healthcare, we take an in-depth look at the role that First Health Moore Regional Hospital played at the U.S. Open in Pinehurst. We'll talk with Moore Regional President Jonathan Davis, who says,
we start our day with an 8:30 safety huddle. We call it looking back, looking forward in our day, to kind of highlight and bring forward any concerns or organizational issues, community issues that may occur.
We also speak with Dr. Catherine Newell with First Health EMS. She reiterates,
we spent about a year beforehand meeting with federal, state, and local representatives to ensure a thorough preparation for the event.
You can listen to our latest conversation wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens.
If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Are you struggling with your Medicare drug costs? The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program may be able to help. The Extra Help and Medicare savings programs are available for those who qualify, but you have to apply. Contact SHIP today to see if you qualify. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
NC Medicaid is for people just like me.
Adults who don't have children.
People who serve.
People who do the heavy lifting.
Child care teachers. Full healthcare coverage at low or no cost.
Doctor's visits, emergency rooms, and prescriptions.
So if you applied before and didn't get it, apply again.
NC Medicaid covers more people than ever before.
NC Medicaid is for more people. See if you qualify at medicaid.nc.gov.
This is Adam Gold.
He said he could talk about his golf game. He did say it wasn't great, and I said, hey, no judgment here. I'm a drive shacker and a putt-putter myself.
None of us are good. Even those of us that are good aren't really good.
Right, yeah.
We're just not.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Dennis Cox. Sitting in the other chair in the other room. So you had mentioned earlier the Hurricanes we're like 7 weeks from the start of the preseason schedule.
Yeah, like 6 weeks or so till training camp.
Training camp doesn't last very long until we actually get into games, like 4 days or so. And then we play like 6 preseason games. We play like they're rapid fire. We have like back-to-back days, couple of days, back-to-back. And then there's like a week or so between even more, between the last preseason game and the start of the regular season. And you had mentioned earlier, what is the, how long are we going to wait for Seth Jarvis?
Okay.
And the answer is, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But nobody's worried about it right now. I don't know if Eric Tulsky's watching the 400-meter high hurdle heats.
He might be on vacation.
Anything could happen. Eric, he's got a phone.
Yeah.
So the deal with Seth Jarvis is that nobody on either side of this stalemate, if you will, nobody's concerned. Everybody is all in it for the exact same thing. They want Seth Jarvis to have an 8-year contract. And if you're Jarvis, who's 22 right now, right, will not turn 23 until February.
Yeah.
An 8-year contract means that he goes to free agency again at age 30, same age as Jake Gensel hit free agency.
Yep.
So Seth stands to do well for himself in professional hockey, financially. And I love him as a player. Love him more as like an individual than I do as a player. And I think all parties, there is a mutual admiration for each other. The Hurricanes and the head coach especially looks at Seth as this is exactly what you want every player to be. He's a sponge, soaks it all up, wants to be great, has the tools to be great, and the player looks at the team and said, these are the people who can get me to where I want to be. So he wants to be here in the worst way. They want him in the worst way. We'll close the gap on the whatever the number is that they are apart. We'll close the gap quickly, and ultimately this will get done. It will never go to an offer sheet situation. It won't be 1 year, 2-year bridge deal. It's going to get done. If you are reading about this, and I read a little bit about this online, there is this strange notion that the Hurricanes have just $6.5 million in cap space. That's incorrect. If you add up everybody who would count on their cap right now, yes, you're right. But right now they have 14 forwards that count on their salary cap. After they sign Seth Jarvis to, let's just say, $8 million, they'll take 2 of those 14 forwards and they will put them through waivers to send them to the minor leagues. So all of a sudden, they now have $8 million. They also have 7 defensemen that count on their salary cap right now.
They won't keep 7.
They will not keep 7. So there's plenty of room. There is plenty of room to give Seth Jarvis the full contract. One quick thing, and I've eaten up all of your
I know. You're cutting down on our stretching here.
Stretching time. Well, I don't stretch. Gosh, I barely work out. We still don't know the status of Jesper Fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been told that we are looking at mid-August, so we're a week away from that, before we have clarity on what Fast is likely to do. And that is the full range is he'll miss some time at the front of the season, to he's going to retire. That's how much of a range there is on the status of Jesper Fast. With that said, I'll touch my toes.
All right, real quick stretch here before we place the bets. No, it's okay. By the way, the movie Blade came out in 1998 today. Debuted 1998. The movie Blade, Wesley Snipes.
You said Blade, and I'm thinking Blaze, which I liked as a movie better than Blade.
Blade was an amazing movie. I never saw Blaze, but Blade was amazing.
Yeah, Blaze Star. It's a whole great story about a working girl.
Okay, I'll say, Blazing Saddles also a great movie.
Yes, absolutely, also a great movie.
Blazing Saddles again, also a great movie.
Somebody's got to go back and get a load of dimes. Sorry.
We started this actually. Started the show. Asked about this. Chris Lee, who's a part of WRL Sports, my co-host on Panthers Playbook. We dropped another episode today, but when I sat in for you a couple weeks ago, also at Chris and Cliff Bumgardner, who's the director and writer of Where Giants. Gosh, I can't remember the name.
Where Giants Walked.
Giants Walked here.
Giants Walked here, yes.
Yes, When Giants Walked Here. My apologies on that, Chris. When Giants Walked Here, talking about wrestling at Dorton Arena in Raleigh. That actually debuts on PBS North Carolina tomorrow at 10 p.m. Set your DVRs. It's also going to be on the PBS North Carolina app. Just download it and you can watch it that way. I got to see a premiere of it last night. 10 out of 10 recommend. It is not just a wrestling documentary. It is a history documentary about Raleigh and the state of North Carolina. So if you live in this state, it is definitely worth watching. And I know there are a lot of people who are listening who probably grew up watching pro wrestling, either go to Dorton Arena or going to Greensboro, whatever it might be. So definitely go check that out for sure. Definitely 100%. 10 out of 10, cannot recommend enough. And the last thing here, I guess something Olympics related for you.
Sure.
Filipino gymnast Carlos Yulo.
Okay.
His reward for winning 2 gold medals includes a 3-bedroom condo.
Nice.
So according to the New York Post, so this is he's Filipino, so in the Philippines, I guess as part of like him winning multiple gold medals, he gets a 3-bedroom condo that's estimated to be worth $414,000. Originally, it was going to be a 2-bedroom, but after he won his second gold, bumped up to a 3-bedroom.
Well, you need the extra bedroom for the second gold.
Exactly. 100% what you need, for the office. Also, that's not all he's going to be receiving. The New York Post also said he'll be receiving north of 10 million Filipino pesos, which is roughly $173,000, and a voucher worth $20,000 in a department store.
Okay.
Which is awesome.
$120,000 in a department store?
Yeah. And unlimited entry at a local buffet chain and a lifetime supply of ramen.
I'm sure there's
Let's go.
I'm sure there are car wash gift cards, too.
I'm sure there are.
All the auto bell you can get. That's great.
Yeah.
Why would you even lead with the condo? At that point, I want to hear the other stuff.
Yeah.
The other stuff's the funny stuff.
So anyway, that's what he gets for winning 2 golds.
Phenomenal.
All right, let's place bets.
Place your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you one.
All right, I've been doing too much baseball lately. It hadn't really worked out.
Okay.
So we're doing all Olympics here. I'll start.
Okay.
Dennis. We have the 2 men's basketball semifinals.
Okay.
France and Germany. I think France pulls off the upset.
All right.
Here, home crowd, all of that, plus 172. Parlay that with Serbia plus 16 points is plus 420 on a money line. And if you want, just for giggles, money line sprinkle on Serbia at plus 820.
Okay. I was actually going to do baseball here for Victoria because I think she's at Wrigley Field today.
Probably, yeah.
Chicago Cubs take on the Minnesota Twins.
Yep.
Give me the Cubs plus 124.
Cubs plus 124.
Doing this one for Victoria.
I think she went to the Cubs-Cardinals game. That was an unscheduled game for her. I thought both of her games were going to be Cubs-Twins. All right. Women's basketball, the semifinals, coming up later today, I believe. Nigeria plus 27.5. U.S. is going to take it easy on them, plus 27.5.
Okay. Good on them. Olympics basketball, give me the U.S. Give the points, minus 110.
All right,
they're going to beat Serbia.
All right, the Wyndham Championship starts tomorrow. Akshay Bhatia wins it, plus 3,500 for Akshay Bhatia. Should be fun.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here from my friend Dr. Lori Travers at Travers LASIK, and I want to talk to those of you who are contact lens wearers. I'm sure you are tired of wasting time and money every day, putting contacts in, taking them out, cleaning, ordering new ones, glasses, prescription sunglasses. I could go on, but let me just tell you about Dr. Lori Travers, the only LASIK specialist in the Triangle. She has the answers to your questions, and it takes less than 5 minutes per eye. Dr. Lori will put you on the path to 20/20 vision. It's totally painless. Could go back to work the very next day. 2 years, 0-interest financing is available. The hard part is that you have to call 919-510-6830, or I guess you could go online, traverslasik.com. Free consultation there. Get your vision 20/20. Hindsight is 20/20. If you don't call. 919-510-6830. 919-510-6830. Travers LASIK.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy. And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
You know that feeling? That confident, swaggerific feeling that says, look at me, world, I know stuff. Own that feeling with PlaySmart, a fun new go-to resource from the North Carolina Education Lottery. With PlaySmart, get to know the odds, learn tips, set limits and budgets, and make the most of your play. Awesome feeling, right? Right. Play smart, the way smart players play. Visit ncplaysmart.com. Must be 18 to play. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Make the most out of summer with great deals on a great selection of Ram light-duty and heavy-duty pickup trucks. And right now, during the Ram Make This the Summer event, get an exceptional deal on the 2024 Ram 1500, the most luxurious Ram 1500 ever. Or get a heavy-duty deal on the powerful Ram 2500 and Ram 3500, the most advanced Ram heavy-duty pickups ever. Make this the summer to remember with great deals on award-winning Ram trucks. See your local Ram dealer now during the Ram Make This the Summer event. Based on standard and available features offered, not affiliated with the J.D. Power 2024 U.S. Initial Quality Study.
Whether it's the future of college football or my love for the Ryder Cup, it's all found in the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast, brought to you by Coach Pete at Capital Financial Advisory Group. Visit us at capitalfinancialusa.com.
Tim Donnelly here to tell you that people are talking about Window Nation. Their customer, Vicky, says we couldn't be happier. This was a great experience. Window Nation is about value, and this August, they're giving you a great value during their anniversary sale. Buy 2 windows and get 2 free. There's no limit to how much you could save. Plus, pay nothing for 24 months. Act now and get an extra $250 credit. Hurry, sale ends August 31st, so schedule a fast in-home estimate right now at 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Raleigh's injury lawyers.
Bounces his way into the end zone. Touchdown!
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Darren Gann joining us, Panthers.com. So, Darren, let's switch gears here to the game on Thursday, in which...
Do we have to?
No, we do.
We have to.
We do.
And by the way, I really enjoyed joining you guys this afternoon. You know, even without Adam and Victoria, it's kind of like the preseason. You got to work on depth and all of this. You got to make sure you got sufficient depth to get you through a season. So that's why I enjoyed talking.
Yeah, I throw a pretty good deep ball. Just my footwork needs a little bit mechanically sound.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Men's water polo quarterfinals. USA with a 6-5 lead on Australia. And we are deep into the fourth quarter. I say deep, I'm not sure how long each quarter is, but with 4:20 and counting remaining, it looks like the U.S. has a lead deep into the fourth quarter to me. For all I know, they don't play 5-minute quarters. That seems kind of silly. Coming up in a few minutes, the new president of your Carolina Hurricanes, Doug Warf, will be in studio. We'll talk about the business of the Canes, why he came back to the organization, and how he can be better than Don Waddell. I don't know. We're going to talk about the Canes, and if you are a fan, maybe some of the things we're going to see at the arena. I know the Centennial Authority is already starting to pour over potential upgrades to the building, and we'll talk about that, and maybe even a little baseball. So let me write that down, since we're going to talk about that as well. Right now, and I see Doug, he's all ready. So we're going to be quick here. Wall of Sound time.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
All right, and it's all about the Carolina Panthers as they get ready for preseason game number 1, which is tomorrow night against the New England Patriots. And Dave Canales is the head coach and does not plan on having Bryce Young do much of anything.
Bryce will not play, okay? And then we'll take that kind of week to week and get a sense for, do we need to get him out there in this system and kind of get a couple of series, and do that. That's something that, I've done in the past. We've done both. So for this game, he will not play.
All right, so no, I'm not worried about that. We know Andy Dalton is hurt too. So we've got 2 quarterbacks that most people have never heard of. One is named Jack Plummer. The other is named Jake Luton. And how will we get a fair read on the offense with those 2 guys playing?
Not the way Jack's been playing. So
okay.
That's the cool part, is I'm excited about that. And we brought in Jake Luton as well, a guy that's been around a couple of different teams. I was with him in Seattle for a little bit. So a guy that knows how to play football and function. That's what we really needed to feel good about the evaluation and how important that is, So we brought him in. We're working him into some of the wording. Some of it's the same, a little bit different in some, but we got to make sure our cadence is right so we can just get the play started. And he's really sharp. And so I'm glad he's here, and he's going to give us that ability to evaluate our guys.
All right, well, I know Jake Luton was here for a little bit before being relegated to the championship. Again, it's a Premier League joke. Please, people, put up with me. That season begins next Friday night. Now, how important are preseason games? We know a lot of teams don't utilize any of their players, any of their significant players for the preseason. We were talking about it earlier today. And in the conversation, all I could think of was LaDainian Tomlinson for like a decade never played in the preseason. So, Dave Canales, first-year head coach, how important are these games?
This is about forming an identity of what Panthers football is. So, wherever you're at on our roster, wherever you're at on our depth chart, what I hope to come out of these games with is an attitude and a style of play. That's what I'm looking for. It's all about the ball. So, can we go get it, and can we take care of it? Great effort. Great enthusiasm, great toughness, playing smart, and above all, finishing. Can we finish plays, drives, halves? Can we finish the game on our terms with the effort that we're looking for? So this is a great opportunity for us to start to develop the culture of what we want to be. And so for me, whoever plays throughout these games, I'm hoping that we're all clued into those things, coaches, players, bringing the fan base in, right? All across the Carolinas and across the country, really the Panthers fans, that they can be able to see what football should look like from us.
All right, here's my only quarrel with what he had to say. To me, doing that with players who are not going to be part of your, and we'll use the term, program, to me that's kind of empty. That's the first time I have really heard like word salad from Dave Canales. Because if you're not going to be part of the team, then that culture really doesn't matter. That how you play doesn't matter. Now, if we are talking about a bunch of players who are going to be part of the 53-man, then that's another story altogether. So I guess we can, since I said it, I can reserve all of that judgment until after we see the game tomorrow night. How many of these players figure to be part of the equation going forward? But to me, it just sounded a lot like word salad. And then final thing, and this goes back to Bryce Young, who will not play tonight. And Dennis, you and I talked about it before. The real possibility is that we will not see Bryce Young play a single preseason snap.
Real chance.
I know they're going to have a joint practice with the Jets on Thursday. And that might be enough for Dave Canales to say we're not going to put him out in the game on Saturday against the Jets, even though I think that the operation needs to go through that routine a couple of times. Although the operation will go through that routine without Bryce Young. So coach, staff, all of that, they are going to get the cadence of the game, but they're going to be getting it with players who are likely not to be part of the team going forward. But about Bryce, Derek Brown, who, I don't know, maybe has a read on opposing quarterbacks since he tackles them a lot. What does he see from his second-year quarterback?
I mean, everybody talks about his size, man, but he wasn't a Heisman Trophy winner for nothing. I mean, he wasn't the number one overall pick for nothing. I mean, he's got a resume. He's got a resume behind him, and, I think when he gets out here every single day, man, I think last year, I don't think people realize, but not many people play quarterback in the NFL. So it's not the easiest job, and also getting hit while doing so, it doesn't make it any better. So, I mean, for him to be able to come out here and it's like he's flipped the switch this year. He got in here from day one of Coach Canales being here, and they were just in there working, man. Yeah. In there working, whether it be him in the gym or just we got the OTAs, learning the playbook, man. I mean, the cat's been in working. He's first one in, last one to leave. He's one of those guys that just works. And I think people take that away from him. And the conversation about his size, I mean, if he couldn't do it, they wouldn't have drafted him, if we're being honest.
That's an Auburn grad, too. That's an Auburn guy talking up an Alabama guy. All right, cool. I love hearing from Derek Brown as well. So one of my favorite Carolina Panthers stars. All right, when we come back, the business of the Carolina Hurricanes, Doug Warf, brand new president, dressed to the nines. Because I am. Next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Atlantic Spas and Billiards, Buffalo Brothers, and Newcomb & Company want you to see football live in Las Vegas. It's our Fan Football Flyaway. Starting Thursday, we'll reveal keywords every hour from noon to 6. Text in the keywords to enter for chances to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas. We'll fly you to an amazing room at the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino, and we'll hook you up with seats for the Carolina-Las Vegas game. The Fan Football Flyaway, only on 99.9 The Fan.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my man Gordon Miller. Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. And with mortgage rates dropping, they just dropped again recently. I think we're in the low 6s now. This is insane. Gordon told me last year that by the end of the year, we could be in the 5s. We might get to the 5s before Election Day, the way the rates are going. And the Fed hasn't even come in and done their business yet, by the way. Paying closing costs is always a bad idea because the rates will drop. So why pay for a benefit you'll never use because you're going to want to refinance free of charge when the rates drop, and they're going to. MillerLending.com. Great website. They'll walk you through the entire process. The people behind it are awesome. And remember that Gordon Miller invented the no closing cost mortgage in 1987 so you could save thousands and then hundreds when you refinance. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road in Cary since 1996. An equal housing lender, NMLS ID 250-2146.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
That's a deal, yeah. I got McDonald's money. I got McDonald's money. One meal just to make me feel better. All I wanna know is, can I get her? You see double patty, the McNuggets so crisp, and the fries go to yellow, yeah, McDonald's don't miss, yeah. Order app or the drive-through quick, yeah. $5, that's a deal, yeah. I got McDonald's money. I got McDonald's money.
Are you ready to rule the realm? With a new Game of Thrones scratch-off from the North Carolina Education Lottery, you can. This epic game gives you the chance to win up to $200,000 instantly, or a trip to beautiful Napa Valley to play the Seven Kingdoms experience, where you could take home your share of up to $7 million in cash prizes. So treat yourself like royalty. Play the Game of Thrones scratch-off today, and let your reign begin. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds are 1 in 4.31. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Hey, Katie. Hi. Let's embark on a performance calibration initiative synthesizing qualitative and quantitative metrics for this past fiscal year.
If Heineken Silver was corporate jargon, it would have all the info you need. None of the annoying gibberish.
What I was trying to say is, you crushed it last year, Katie. Lady, you are getting a big, fat bonus.
Heineken Silver, world-class light beer. Only 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories. All the taste, no bitter endings. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly.
This is Adam Gold.
Frankly, I'm not sure that there is a sport that we could theoretically even put in the Olympics that isn't. I said bowling. Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Croquet? Lawn darts?
I'm waiting for cornhole.
Oh, there's somebody that thinks, yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Dennis Cox on the ones and twos. And in studio with me is the brand new president of your Carolina Hurricanes. His name is Doug Warf. Wait a second. We know that guy. People have been going to PNC Arena to watch the Canes for a long time. Will have seen you around. First of all, you've been there as a fan a lot over the last several years. But you were, I don't even know what your title was. You were the Mike Foreman before there was a Mike Foreman, and then there was a Mike. Now there's no Mike Foreman. But I said the other day, this is before I knew you were taking the job. I just knew that Mike was leaving, and so I thanked him for, his help is not necessarily the right word. I mean, yes, it's help, but just his willingness to tell us what's going on relating to fans. And I mentioned John Chase, also who hasn't yet come back.
Yeah.
And you, and I gave all three of you credit, and I know there's other people, for really creating an atmosphere that fans could be confident that, okay, the team will eventually get to where we want it to be, and it is, as a year in, year out basis. So when I found out that you were coming back, I could not have been more thrilled. So congratulations, a long way of saying congratulations to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Adam.
All right, so first of all, you were doing some pretty cool stuff, because you and I have been communicating a lot.
Yeah.
You've been doing some pretty cool stuff. What was the draw to come back?
Good question. So first, thanks for having me on and in studio. So, I mean, what a big deal to sit with you. So.
Yeah. It is such a huge deal.
Yeah, it is.
And I dressed. This T-shirt probably is another, I don't know, a few months from going into the
I'm glad I got
garbage.
to see one of the final wears. That's good. I gave you the best polo.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
And it's a new logo.
Is it a new logo?
Well, it's not a new logo. It's for me.
Oh,
Adidas.
okay.
Everything I had was pre-Adidas.
Oh, okay.
So I was told.
Reebok.
Exactly.
Yes. Does Reebok
And now
even
I got to
exist?
update to Fanatics.
We should. That's right.
Which is next for me. Listen, I loved what I was doing in MDO Holdings. We had 9 companies that we owned and operated. I got to run each one. Michael Olander Jr. there gave me a lot of leeway, probably more than he should have. And I loved the groups we were working with. We were mainly in the fitness space, health, wellness, which has always meant a lot to me. So it was fun to work on those brands, and it was great for me to expand my business knowledge. But as you mentioned, I was always a fan. I was at every playoff game. My daughter is 8. She has become a huge Caniac, right? So it's been fun to kind of have that together. And always kept in touch with Don. Mike Foreman, the guys who were there, John, while he was there, always kind of kept in touch, understood what was going on, understood the challenges. And I like what Tom's been doing, from shaking things up, from bringing in new ideas. It is a different world there today than it was 7.5 years ago when I left. So that has all been new. And then, as I kind of talked about a little bit last week, the legacy projects of the development around the arena, the pursuit of Major League Baseball, when you add those into what's already happening with the Canes and what we're trying to do in the community, it's big and it's fun.
We're going to get to the
I'm sorry,
legacy.
I jumped a lot of things there.
That was the outline, right? But we're going to get to the legacy projects in a second. Doug Warf, president, Carolina Hurricanes. I want to go back to at the very beginning when Tom Dundon came in and was openly talking about, and this is the year before the start, before the team made this now 6-year playoff run. He was openly talking about, this has to be a fan experience. And and this is part of the reason I was so thrilled that you did decide to come back, was because you were there and understood the connection that this franchise had with fans who had largely stayed away because the team wasn't great. And that was the first thing Tom wanted to do, was reconnect fans to the team. Winning helps. And I remember in the second year, the first full season of Tom, and we were sort of in like the January start of the winning streak that got them into the playoffs. And he said to me, well, how long does it take for the fans to come back? And I told him then, I said, in most cases, because Tom was new to professional sports.
Yep.
I said, in most cases, there's a lag time. You'll probably see it next year, depending on what happens this year. I said, but I wouldn't be surprised if you guys are in playoff position if it happened now.
Right.
Because what I knew from the fan base is it took a long time for the fans to go away. And I thought they were dying for any reason to come back. So it did happen. Did any of that surprise you?
No, I think exactly. It's good that you had that advice, right? And he's not the first person to ask that question,
right?
Because when it used to be that I was VP of marketing, previous Mike Foreman, I like that title. That would come down the hall to us from the hockey ops side. Hey, we won 5 straight games. Why isn't this Friday night better sold? It's like, well, we lost for 5 straight years, so the 5-game winning streak's nice, but.
Right.
It's going to be longer. I think that's what was fun for me to watch, was that you could tell he had an intentionality of making this a fan-first experience, of spending to the cap to put a good team on the ice. And then the way he thought about things were different, and it needed some of that. So, I think you're spot on in the way that he looks at things, and I think you're spot on that is a big piece. Our first conversation, I had not talked with Tom much in my time away, my 7.5 years away. And our first conversation, he's kind of going on, hey, here's what I'm thinking, here's what I'm needing. I knew by the way he talked about what he looks at, that he gets it, right? He's looking at lines, he's looking at trash pickup, he's looking at fluidity at the doors. That all plays into fan experience. I feel like we did a pretty good job back in the day of connecting the community and the team. And to your point, I think that helped buffer a couple of tough years.
Yeah.
It can't buffer 8 to 9 years of missing the playoffs, right? You bottom out there.
We don't do it anymore, but those hometown nights, where we'd have a local brewery and a local band. Those were stuff that you oversaw, that were great ways to connect to local small businesses and bring people in. Hey, this band that you have been watching at this spot for however long is going to be playing between periods at PNC Arena. That's connecting to the community.
Totally. And you saw it even when I was there. I mean, I remember going 2003 to Wilmington to do a youth hockey clinic, right? And 4 kids show up. And Matt Horton, a guy I used to work with, still remembers the 4 kids' names, which is hilarious. And then you go now and you see a cool bar, you see a bar event there where it's packed. You've seen the growth. And that was just years, of decades of putting that time in, but nothing heals it like a winning team.
Yeah, and the team has won a lot. Tom, obviously. I think there have been fair criticisms of the way they have gone about it in terms of not adding at deadlines, although this year completely blew up the entire formula. Like, I didn't even recognize, wait a second, 2 free agent signings, and then at the deadline, Jake Gensel and Yevgeny Kuznetsov, neither of which are with the team anymore regardless. So there have been some fair criticisms of some of the things that they have done, but at the bottom line is, I look at the results in the standings, and maybe it's entirely about the head coach. It could be like Rod is.
It aligns.
It does, right? But it's really hard to argue with the results, because ultimately the Hurricanes have been one of the top, 4 teams in the NHL. Maybe the best team in terms of regular season record over the last 4 years, but certainly one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the entire league since Tom's first full season.
Well, and I think, we were talking about this off air. You've got Rod, which is one piece. And if you look at that Hall of Fame committee that you and I both sit on, you look at Aho, you look at Slavin, you look at Svetch. There's so many key pieces that are there now who will be in that conversation when they retire, that I think that coming up at the same time Rod came in as a coach, them coming into their own, has been a key piece to what the team is today.
Are we any closer to a date for Eric Stahl night?
I think we're really close.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just if you could ballpark it, is it earlier in the season or later in the season?
I think it'll land sometime in January.
Okay.
And his number was 12, if I remember correctly.
It was 12, so we have room for a 10 is already up.
Yep.
A 12 will go up. Does Justin's 14 go up, or is that on a separate banner of just Hurricanes Hall of Famers?
That's on the Hall of Fame banner.
Okay, so it's not. We have not retired 14 yet.
No.
We'll get to that. Yeah. And then 11. 11, his other number, but also the Stahl brother. It's funny. This is about hockey, and I talked to Eric about this last week. Part of me thinks that Eric Stahl being traded hurt his brother more than Eric. Eric was then free of the situation. Jordan had to live with it for probably 3 full years. there was still I joked around that when Stahl was named captain, like nobody would have had a problem with it. They would have said, sure.
Right.
If his last name were Jones.
Yeah.
And not Stahl.
You know that better than me. I left shortly after Eric did. So,
Whalers.
Yeah.
That has been, I think, an awesome part of this run. We've done it every year.
Yep.
Is there? It kind of rubs some people the wrong way. It shouldn't. Where do you stand on continuing that? Maybe taking it to a different place. What do you think about it?
I'm a big fan. To the people it rubs the wrong way, like there's an homage being paid, right? And I think if you lost a team, the fact that there's still a way to see it and tell your kids about it, I think is a neat thing, right? Instead of just looking in archives. So I think it's more of an homage and a hat tip, and I think it's a great piece. I loved it when I was a fan. I mean,
right.
I started in 2000. So there wasn't a long time of the team being here before I started, but I loved that Whalers piece prior. I understood some timid nature around it in
right.
Pete's days, but no, I love embracing it. I think we're always looking at what else we can do with it.
Is there any potential of taking a preseason game? Never take a regular season game to Hartford, but a preseason game to Hartford?
Man, those are great questions, Adam. I always be open to conversation. I don't know where that's. I'm 1 month in, man. Give me at least another month before you start hitting me with those questions.
All right. Let me ask you another question. I think I saw. I don't even remember the team, and I think it's even in the NBA that is taking all of their broadcasting away from Diamond Sports, which is Bally, parent company of Bally, in-house. Where are the Hurricanes? We're 2 months away from the start of the season, basically. And for people like me who use the Bally's app,
yep.
Where are we? I know we have another, like the ESPN, Fox Sports sports streaming service is part of it. Where are we with Bally?
You know, we are big fans of Bally and Diamond Sports Group,
right.
which is the ownership group. They are in their proceedings. I think a big part for them hinges on the NBA.
Okay.
And where they stand with some of their NBA contracts. The nice part for us, we've always been a leader for them, and a lot of that is because our relationship and their relationship with the Braves.
Okay.
So out of all their groups, our group has been a successful group for them. So we know where we stand with them. We appreciate them. We hope they're back, and we are working through that. When you're doing it and you know that they're in bankruptcy protection and they're having constant
right.
conversations, you know, we have to do our due diligence and check on other options. So we're running parallel paths, but we all intend to be on Bally's this coming season.
Because I know, again, I wish I remembered which team it is taking all of their games to over the air.
Yeah, there's a couple ways that people are doing it. You know, in Dallas, the Stars announced what they're doing. The Stars are going with the total streaming option. That's all app-based. There are a lot of ways that you can go with this. I think it's a fascinating time for sports due to the carrier rights and some of the fees have been played. I think we're in a phase where the next 2 or 3 years will tell us a lot.
All right, I just have a few more things for you, and I appreciate you coming over here. But I want to get to the legacy projects. I know Dennis is like doing the home run call, which is appropriate since we're going to talk baseball here. But I'm going to take this segment a little longer so we have a few more minutes. So you mentioned baseball, and I've kind of joked about this whole topic because, look, I am a lifelong baseball fan. The last thing I ever want to do.
And a Mets fan at that.
I am a Met. I basically grew up at Shea Stadium. But the last thing I would ever want to do is completely. I don't want to throw dirt on baseball, even Delaware dirt, which they used to rub up the baseballs, on baseball coming to the Triangle. But everything that I have ever read about the financial, chances of this happening here in North Carolina is, we don't have the personal wealth, the corporate wealth to fully support Major League Baseball, at least at the expense of other things. But Tom is interested, very interested in
highly interested.
Right.
Yeah.
And I kind of, like, there was a time I thought he was hedging, but I think he's back all in. How much of it is tied to the development of the arena area? Is that related at all?
I don't. I mean, sure, right? Tom might have a thought that he hasn't shared with me. There on the plans that we have, there's not a baseball park on the arena development, and could you hopefully get one close? Sure, I think that would be great. I don't think that's set in stone, right? So that's a long ways away. I think the key part about this, when I was talking to Tom, you need an owner interested first.
Right.
And the fact that he's there and he's willing to put his capital towards that, that's a huge first step. And I think when you're looking at this, that's going to take us from where we might have been in a top 8 to a top 4, right? And you're still going to have to break through. And a lot of that's going to be what kind of help you get from state, local, et cetera.
Sure.
Where your ballpark's going to go. And then they will do feasibility studies on corporate and season tickets. I think what's nice about baseball occurs different time frame. We know how it works, right? The home stands, the long trips. You see more people travel for baseball than you do for hockey games. And I do think it'll become much more of a regional experience than a triangle experience. That's the way it works, in my opinion. I would agree that there's some hesitancy on, can triangle corporate companies back this enough? Sure, you could have a question about that. I also see the growth that our market's having.
Right.
This is not going to happen tomorrow. Even if you're awarded a team in 2 or 3 years, you're looking at what does this look like 6 or 7 years down the road. I think it probably looks really strong. And I would put us against anybody else who's going to be in that conversation because, to use an old baseball analogy of Beckett in a trading guard guide, our arrow is going up, right? And a lot of the other markets are either flat or going down. I feel really good about where our market is.
Also, if you look at just the map of the United States, Washington and Baltimore.
Big gap.
To Atlanta.
Yep.
And if you go west from here, you go for a long way before you get to the next team, right?
And I do
St.
think
Louis.
We've shown with Nashville and others, we can coexist. Would it be a toss-up? It's not going to be us in Charlotte. We know that, right? Much like your beautiful MLS 919 MLS shirts turned out. But I think we've got a better structure in place today. And I think Tom's serious about it. So he's not a guy who sits idle. He's going to work phones. He's going to make calls.
Is he a baseball fan?
He is. Yeah, he's a baseball fan. I haven't gotten into deep knowledge of who he grew up rooting for, but
he's a Philly guy.
You tell me.
Maybe he's a Phillies, which is fine. I got no problem with the Phillies.
Yeah.
I'm a Mets fan. I hate the Cardinals.
I could wax poetic about 80s Braves players.
You are a Braves guy?
That's how I grew. And in baseball was my first love. Actually worked 1 year for the Mudcats. And then came back to the Canes. Being outside and hot is a lot in these summers.
Oh, my gosh. So. Yeah, well, it is a time. But real quick about this, at some point, do you have to engage the people who own what I do, people who pay my salary, own the Durham Bulls?
Yeah.
At some point, does that conversation have to happen?
Yeah, and a ton of respect for the Goodman family. And what the Bulls have built in Durham is phenomenal. And yes, that would definitely be something that's engaged and would only do it if they were on board.
Okay. Doug Warf, final thing for you. President of your Carolina Hurricanes, at Doug Warf on Twitter. Sportsbook.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we? I know the plan was to have one inside PNC Arena. My guess is that this falls at least partially on your desk.
Yeah,
sure, right. So
small percentage.
Where are we with an in-arena sports book, or is there something out of the arena that's going to be adjacent to it? What is the plan?
I think the plans are always a little bit fluid, but I think the thought process right now is it would be in phase 1 of the development outside the arena.
Okay,
and a lot of that is on partnerships. I think you only want to do a sports book if you can do it right. Sure. A lot of people have found that their phone works really well. So you only want to do a sports book in a place that people come to if you feel like you can make that an engaging space where people want to go watch games and be part of something. So I think Tom's looking at it the right way. I think he's done a lot of research on what's worked and what hasn't from a sports book standpoint. But it is in phase 1 of outside arena development.
I'm going to ask you one more quick question, then I want you to essentially, maybe there's something I didn't get to that you want to bring up. When is the first time you think we will see something that either is happening within the arena or something that is happening within the development of the area around the arena?
It's a great question. I think we are trying to be as ready as possible as you know, and probably have sat through some of these meetings, there are a lot of parties that have to sign off on some of these things. So, the Centennial Authority got their part started last week. And I think the biggest part of that is now pricing out, okay, we've seen some renderings, we've seen some things we like. The Centennial Authority has to have their vote. We have to look at it from our standpoint of what we're working on. And then it starts to price out, okay, what can we do with everything that we saw? I think the goal is that, especially inside the arena, is that next summer we start projects. I think the challenge on that, some of the stuff that would happen next summer is make space for other things to happen. So when people see those big renderings, it's not like everything's happening next summer. That's a 3 or 4 year plan.
Right. It's not a Lego.
And next summer might not be the most sexy of those items, but but that is the goal, is for next summer for these things to start happening inside the building.
All right. Is there anything that you want to bring up that I didn't ask you? Anything I've maybe forgot, overlooked?
No, you hit a lot of the big ones. You've hit what's made me excited, but also lose a little sleep the last month.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. That's my job has been accomplished. Doug Warf at Doug Warf on Twitter, president of your Carolina Hurricanes. I'll see you in a different capacity now. You will not be in the stands as a fan.
Right.
You'll be upstairs as a fan.
Maybe we can return to the 1:30 VOM like we used to back in the day.
We can do that. I appreciate you coming in.
Awesome.
We'll rewind next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here for my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and they are the best place to bet the games this summer because right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Then you can bet on all your favorite international teams in all your favorite sports, from basketball to badminton and soccer to swimming. FanDuel has it all. Don't miss your chance to score $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS to sign up and start betting the games today. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 or over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, we believe that getting to know you is the best way to protect what you love most. We have friendly agents in every county to help you prepare for the unexpected. And when life doesn't go as planned, our award-winning claims team will be with you every step of the way. Find a local agent today at ncfbins.com. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
The North Carolina News Network and the North Carolina Healthcare Association invite you to listen to our latest podcast. Hospitals play a key role in emergency readiness alongside first responders who protect us from any scenario. During this month's conversation on the state of healthcare, we take an in-depth look at the role that First Health Moore Regional Hospital played at the U.S. Open in Pinehurst. We'll talk with Moore Regional President Jonathan Davis, who says,
we start our day with an 8:30 safety huddle. We call it looking back, looking forward in our day, to kind of highlight and bring forward any concerns or organizational issues, community issues that may occur.
We also speak with Dr. Catherine Newell with First Health EMS. She reiterates,
we spent about a year beforehand meeting with federal, state, and local representatives to ensure a thorough preparation for the event.
You can listen to our latest conversation wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens. If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Are you struggling with your Medicare drug costs? The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program may be able to help. The Extra Help and Medicare Savings programs are available for those who qualify, but you have to apply. Contact SHIP today to see if you qualify. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
To some, a baby's babbling doesn't mean much. But little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Ad Council.
This is Adam Gold.
Victoria, you played sports in high school, right?
Oh, yeah. Basketball, and I swam.
Could you imagine competing for $1 million?
No.
$1 million.
No. I competed for plastic trophies.
I was also a high school athlete, baseball player. No, and I could never even imagine it.
No.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Dennis Cox producing the program. I decided to wear the hat for the balance of the show.
It's a lovely hat.
It is an incredibly cool logo. This, of course, for those people who are watching on YouTube, and I have to get better about reminding people that you can find us on YouTube all the time. This show, also, if you're listening in Raleigh, rain hasn't started yet, right?
Not quite. It's getting here, though.
If you're listening in Raleigh, Tim Donnelly follows me. Normally, that's where you are.
That's normally where I am.
So that show, The Drive, is also on YouTube. And this show is also available on YouTube from noon when we start to 3 o'clock when we are done. So always encourage you to do that. And
by the way, we have people that leave comments in the chat.
Absolutely. I should pay more attention to that. I should interact with the people more, Dennis. I don't.
Including Will Parks, who says that Bryce Young should play a handful of drives at most in the preseason.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2, 3 tops, but I would like to see it. I'm going to get to that as we rewind, because you'll hear from Julian Council about that particular topic as well. But real quick to something that Doug Warf, president of the Hurricanes, who was in here, because this speaks to not just Raleigh, but to all of North Carolina and maybe even Southern Virginia, South Carolina as well. I grew up an enormous baseball fan, and it has always put me in an unenviable position of arguing against what I still feel like is my favorite sport. It's just that we live here. We don't have a major league team. Minor league baseball is a great night out. It is a phenomenal social experience with great baseball being played, but it is primarily like going to the movies to me. I don't know how many Durham Bulls games or Carolina Mudcats games I have been to. A lot. I couldn't tell you the outcome of any. I was at a no-hitter. And I can't remember whether or not I watched the last inning.
Huh.
I honestly, I can't remember. And I'm not even sure the guy finished the no-hitter. He had like 130 pitches in the eighth inning. So he might not have finished
This is pre-analytics then.
Oh, yeah. Well, not really. But anyway, like no-hitters are cool, man.
They are.
But if Tom Dundon is serious about pursuing Major League Baseball, I am 100% on board with it.
Yeah.
100% on board with it. By the way, the logo, the NC, the interlocking NC, very cool.
With a star like between the
star
C,
and
area.
Like subtly on the back is a home plate using like sort of the Major League Baseball North Carolina flag like design in it, but it's shaped like a home plate.
Looks cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool I dig it. And I am, if they're serious about it and it's a possibility, I am 100% on board. So all the 919 to MLB, all of those people who have hated me for the last 2 decades, as I have said, why are you people getting your hopes up? I don't know. I apologize.
Maybe.
Let's see if we can't do it. I mean, again, I could not tell you how much I would love Major League Baseball here in the Triangle.
I think it'd be great. I grew up in Central Virginia, and before the Washington Nationals came about, the closest Major League Baseball team was Baltimore.
Right.
So either a lot of people where I grew up were either Baltimore fans or they're Atlanta Braves fans, because Richmond, I grew up about an hour west of Richmond, is where Charlottesville is. And that's where the AAA affiliate used to be. So that was the closest professional baseball
Richmond,
we
yes.
could watch. So a lot of people would sometimes see like Andrew Jones before he got to the bigs.
That stadium is still there.
It is, and I think they have like a AA team that plays there now.
Is it double A
like the
or
Richmond
single A?
Squirrels, I think.
Squirrels?
Yeah, something like that. It's minor league baseball. What did you expect?
Chipmunks.
Hey, they might as well be.
At the lower levels of the minor leagues, we have like sand gnats.
We have the Mudcats, Zebulon, Carolina Mudcats.
Still one of the best logos in all
awesome.
of minor league baseball. I mean, Durham Bulls is iconic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just because of the movie. It is iconic. So I am all about. Look, I've been like Doug didn't make fun, but we talked about this T-shirt I'm wearing, which is 919 to MLS. Back when the city of Raleigh was all about trying to draw Major League Soccer.
Yeah, there's plans of like a downtown stadium and everything.
We had a parade in Moore Square. I was there for that. So I'm all about if I think it's possible, I am all about supporting the pursuit. Because honestly, and this is the final thing I'll say about this. When Doug talked about the market on the upswing, right? The Beckett baseball card arrow pointing up. Not only would, the economic trajectory of Raleigh draw Major League Baseball, but if Major League Baseball were to come, how would that exponentially increase the upward trajectory of the market economically? It would be huge. It would be great for tourism. It would be great for local businesses.
Absolutely.
So all of that would – it's funny. Final thing. I keep saying final thing. I was in Rochester, New York, which does have a AAA affiliate, by the way. I was in Rochester, New York briefly on Sunday. And I was blown away. Rochester's not any bigger a city than Raleigh.
Oh, no, it's smaller than Raleigh.
Right. I was really blown away by, because I had never been, the size of the downtown. It's bigger than Raleigh's downtown.
It is.
Significantly bigger than Raleigh's downtown. We are a bigger city. We are a bigger market.
Yeah, we're a little bit more sprawled.
We are small downtown, bigger suburbs. We could be a bigger city. We could have more of stuff downtown. And a Major League Baseball stadium. I don't know if you could put that downtown or not. But man, it would be awesome if we can find some room, at least downtown adjacent, for a major. All right, I'm done. Now I've got my hopes up. Now I'm thinking about signing a pitcher in free agency.
Look at you.
All right, let's rewind.
The wall of sound is a function.
That's the wrong one. That is the wrong one.
It's perfect. I can't think of a better way. I honestly can't.
The button is right next to it. It happens.
Dennis, how long did you do the show with me?
I think you and I did it full time together for about, was it 5-6 months? 6 months, maybe? Actually, maybe not. A little longer than that.
This is gonna sound weird, but I felt like it was longer. I didn't mean it that way, but I feel.
Oh, you're welcome then.
Never mind. So
that's a compliment.
There is nothing polished about this show. If it was polished, it'd be somebody else's show.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't do polished. All right, let's get to the Carolina Panthers, who open up the preseason tomorrow. Dave Canales has already said Bryce Young will not play tomorrow. He has intimated that he may not play at all during the preseason. My guess is that it will be determined by how things look in the joint practice with the Jets a week from tomorrow, because their game with the Jets at Bank of America is a week from Saturday. Julian Council, Locked On Panthers podcast, wants to see Bryce Young play.
It would be nice to see it because I don't want to watch a preseason game where the starters don't play at all, Adam. I'm being selfish here. Like, I got to sit here and watch all 3 of these games no matter what. I'm not trying to watch the Jack Plummer show. I don't need to see Jake Luton. Come on, man. I was surprised by this decision. It was not anything I ever considered. I suppose in the back of my mind, maybe I did wonder, would Dave Canales be like these new age coaches like a Sean McVay and say that Bryce Young will never play for me in the preseason, which is what Sean McVay said when Matthew Stafford went out there. And that made sense. Stafford was already a known commodity. We knew that he was going to be good in that offense. We knew what he could do. No reason to put him out there in those games. Same thing with Christian McCaffrey. Even when Matt Rule was head coach here, McCaffrey, with all the injuries he suffered in the regular season, he wasn't playing the preseason. Same case out there in San Francisco. If you were a known commodity like Aaron Rodgers, speaking of the Jets next week, and he's coming off the Achilles, you don't need to play in the preseason. But when you struggled last year, you have a new head coach, a new scheme, a new offensive line, a new center, even though Austin Corby keeps telling us that we're making too big of a deal about that, you would think that you would like to get meaningful reps in the preseason opposed to waiting until week one. Honestly, I would think that next week with the joint practice, with the Jets, a controlled environment, it would make more sense then to not play him in the preseason opposed to this week where your offensive line's healthy. Why not get everyone out there for a couple of series and see what this thing looks like instead of waiting until possibly week 3 of the preseason or week 1 on the road in New Orleans? I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of it from that standpoint. Like, if this was C.J. Stroud, where he had success in Houston, Bobby Slowick's back as a play caller, totally understand. No reason to put him out there. You know, this guy's a known commodity in this offense. That's not the case with Bryce Young in this new offense in Carolina and having struggled last year behind a poor offensive line with bad weapons. And there's one, I do understand this one thing, though, the injury aspect.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, the last 2 times the Panthers have played in New England in the preseason, Matt Corral broke his foot, Cam Newton broke his foot. So you got to buck the trend, and the best way to do it is to not play Bryce Young. So I can see it from that standpoint. That turf is cursed, but I would prefer to see him out there selfishly, and I also think it's probably the best thing for this offense moving forward that they actually get meaningful reps in the preseason as well.
All right, there's a lot to unpack there from Julian Council. One, I'm not here for any conspiracy theories. Bryce Young not playing this week, to me, is fine. No big deal. The next game, again, home against the Jets a week from Saturday, follows joint practices or a joint practice between Carolina and the Jets on Thursday. I actually think it's the perfect time to get Bryce Young and as many of your first-team offense on the field in a live situation, a game, for at least a series or 2, maybe 3, just to see the operation work for, again, 10 snaps in 2 drives, whatever it is. Or maybe it's 6 snaps for 2 drives, whatever it is. It would be cool to see that from a coaching standpoint, from a, how does it all fit standpoint.
Timing of it all, everything.
Yeah, just all of it. And I think the Jets are less likely, 2 days after a live practice, the Jets are less likely to roll out their first-team defense. And so you're not really putting Bryce Young and company at any other further risk other than they would be at risk simply by snapping the football. I actually think it would be good for the fans to see it. I think it will be good for Dave Canales to see it. Now, Canales may look at, it doesn't make a difference who snaps the football and who's on the field. Those reps for us as a working machine of an offense, that will be enough. But I think it helps to have all of your top parts in place so we can see the machine work. I don't know, man. It's a double-edged sword. We had guys, and I forget exactly who, but we've already had players lost for the year.
Like Stephon Sullivan, I know, is on IR.
No, I'm not even talking about the Panthers.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking across the league.
Yeah, there's been a few guys.
We've had players not in a game, but simply running pass routes or going through drills. It's because this is the unfortunate risk of when you have athletes who are so much stronger and so much bigger, so much more muscular. I'm not even talking about steroids or anything like that. There is just a limit to what your ligaments and your tendons can deal with. It just is. And one misstep out of nowhere. Like, remember when Julian Edelman got hurt? Right? Was it Edelman? Wasn't Edelman. It was, who was the receiver like Edelman?
Wes Welker?
Wes Welker. Wes Welker got hurt, like it was late on in his career. He was simply running a pass route. He cut to the outside and boom. It's one of those, we put so much torque on our bodies. I say we. That's so funny. They put so much torque on their bodies, anybody can get hurt at any time. So guys get hurt in practice. I would just like to see the Panthers, in terms of getting the machine going and seeing it. And again, I want the head coach to see it too. Dennis Cox, this was fun today. You know what we're going to do tomorrow? We're going to do a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about the Panthers and the Patriots. Jim Zoki's going to join us. We're going to talk Olympics with Rod Brindamore tomorrow. That should be fun. Dennis, thank you very much. See everybody tomorrow on The Adam Gold Show.
Serving